Like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show. Weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead, hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Well, of course we do. Of course we want to make the world a better place. So, everyone, share the content out, y'all. All right. Excuse me. All right, folks. Today we are going to be getting into a very, very interesting subject, something that needs to be talked about in this world of social media. Who better to do it than me? To kick it off on this channel. And I'm pretty sure there'll be other discussions about it. And I'm not saying that other people ain't never talked about this stuff before, but today we are going to deal with manhood. How or when did you know you became a man, y'all? Okay, that's what we're going to discuss today. How or when did you know you became a man? And the obvious answer is, I had my 18th birthday and I'm a male, so therefore I became a man. No, we're not doing that. Okay, we're moving it away from when you had your 18th birthday. How did you know you became a man? What was going on in your life that let you really have that understanding that you became a man? Because here in America, we don't have necessarily a universal understanding of what being a man is. All right. And look, I'm a person, I don't try to take away people's manhood from them, because as a black man, they've been trying to do that to us for, since at least 16, 19, they've been trying to do that. So I'm not trying to take that away from people. Okay, I don't think it's a cool thing to try to take somebody's manhood from them, but we do need to discuss what manhood is so people can open their eyes a little bit. And I think a lot of black men, we probably could say most at this point, the ideas that black men have about what manhood is has nothing to do with manhood at all. I hate to say that, but over here at the Roger Report Live, y'all, we do keep it real. Okay, we do the best we can to make sure we're giving out real information. And most black men at this point in December of 2025, I think a lot of us have these ideas about manhood that has nothing to do with me and a man. And that's real talk. Okay? Not saying people don't mean well, but that's what I really believe. But before I go too far into this, first of all, let me stop right now. And let me give a shout out to the people who helped make this channel what it is. So shout out to all the people who give me regular views. Appreciate you. Shout out to all the people who hype me up every chance they get. It's, appreciate it big time. All right. And do it every chance you get, y'all. Do it every chance you get. All right. Shout out to everybody who leaves comments after the stream. These things help with the algorithm, y'all. Help grow the channel. All right. And also everyone who hits that like button. Okay. That's always a critical thing. And no matter how old the stream is, hit the like button. I don't care if it's from 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, whatever. Hit the like button. Okay. So shout out to all y'all for doing that. And shout out to the people who step up and go above and beyond the call to duty. The people who become financial contributors over here at the Roger Report Live, because each and every one of you are definitely important. So shout out to Chief We Hail. He is a sponsor of today's stream. Appreciate you big time. Thank you very much for what you do. And that's real talk. And I want to give a shout out to y'all know how I go over here. You got to be number one, y'all. You got to be number one. Shout out to the Great Black Reset. Appreciate you big time, my brother. He is what we like to call over here at the Roger Report Live, the first one in the chat. He is what we call the Highlander of the day's stream. So shout out to the Great Black Reset. He is the Highlander of today's stream. Appreciate you big time, my brother. Appreciate you big time. Thanks for doing what you do. Shout out to Boot Camp. Boot Camp is in the building. What's good, my brother? What's good? Glad to see you. Shout out to Mr. Me Too. What's going on, my brother? Glad to have you in the building. We got I'm Listening. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. Great to see you. Afro Merchant is in the house. We got Tunnel Runner checking in, my main man. Trail Bentley is here, representing like he always does. Hashtag long live the habitual line steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the wilderness. Hashtag dignity over vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's babies. Hashtag Hell Hydra. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. We got Floyd Thompson representing. What's good, my brother? What's good? Good to see you in the house. Good to see you. Bucket is here. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. All right, y'all. And we got Family of God in the building. Shout out to you. Glad to see you here. Glad to see you. Okay. Y'all, shout out to my main man, the guy who helps the pit crew. Shout out to him and the pit crew. They help keep the order around this joint, even when we go off the rails just a wee bit. I ain't saying we go off the rails a lot, but sometimes we get a little excited. We get a little passionate. And we need to calm down. So shout out to Chef Mike's Roundtable, who knows how to keep the panel calm. Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you big time. Y'all, so yeah, we're going to get to this subject, y'all. Manhood. Okay? Because it's a big deal. How or when did you know you became a man? Now, of course, everyone's invited to come up and tell their story, y'all. And since we don't have any, universal idea at this particular point on what it means to be a man amongst black men, we do need to talk. Some of the people who have become a man need to talk about it a little bit, so other people can start to get an idea of what being a man really truly is. All right, because some folks talk crazy when they say when they talk about that they're a man and why they think they're a man. Okay. Now, I'm gonna get into this a little bit. We've all have our personal stories. All right. Now I'm gonna say, y'all, how did I truly, truly, truly know I became a man? All right. Because see, I was taught for men. My father been in my life my whole life. Okay. Still is. Glad he is. I hope he's around a lot longer than just now. Okay. I want to still see my father a good period of time, y'all. A good period of time. Okay. So I'm hoping he stick around a lot longer, you know, because as we get older, we do have to deal with, parents passing away and things like that. Luckily, I have been spared that up until this point. So my father's still around, kicking just fine, doing his thing, and I appreciate him. Okay. If you've been listening to my channels for a while, you should have an understanding that I do have a high appreciation for who my father is, what kind of man he is. He's definitely my hero, and that's real talk. And something I've said to his face, not just behind his back. But if you catch me talking about my father behind his back, you will hear me. If not telling you flat out that he's my hero, you will hear me alluding to the fact that he's my hero. Real talk. Okay. Best man I ever met. That's just what it is. Okay. So, with all the different life lessons I got, and manhood, as far as I can understand it, easy version to tell folks, it's about your character, then your accomplishments. And it's in that order. It's about your character and your accomplishments. And it has to be character first, because there's been a lot of people in history that we can't say are nobodies, all right? But they've been able to make an impact on history, but because of their character, not necessarily the guy you want to follow per se. I have made it a point, okay, to use Hitler as an example for things that go on. All right. Hitler did a lot of great things. Everyone won't see all the great things Hitler did as great because of what? His character. See, Hitler is very much known for having, I believe it was about 6 million, they say about 6 million Jews killed. See, that's that character issue right there. The character issue jumps off immediately when you say that. Okay. What kind of man you want to be? What we talking about? Because he had about 6 million of them killed. That character is a very, very important piece. Okay. And it comes before all the stuff that you go out there and do. Hitler did a lot of great things. He did some difficult things he became something that's hard to become. But when you start thinking about the fact that he killed 6 million Jews, then it get a little tricky sometimes. It gets a little tricky. And that's a major thing when it comes to manhood. Your character is the most important part of your manhood. Now, I'm going to say this. When did I start to have these ideas that I became a man? Okay. Now, I'm going to say the ideas were kind of, starting to manifest itself, because I've said before, when I was 18, y'all, I was looking for work, and I happened to know somebody. I was related to people, boom. So I instantly got a job because of who I was related to. But it wasn't a very convenient job. It was a fast food job. It was right after high school. And anytime I worked past 9 o'clock, y'all, I would work and I work past 9 o'clock. Why? Because I'm trying to get some money, right? I'm trying to become a rapper at this particular point. Matter of fact, maybe that was before I even, that may be before I even taken the rap. I would think I was trying to become a rapper at this point. But the issue was, I had a job that I took because it was the first person to hire me. Okay. I knew somebody that knew somebody, but now I'm in the Chicago suburbs, y'all. I'm in the Chicago suburbs. And I know everybody, cities can work slightly different when it comes to numbers, but we all know numbers. Okay. Well, when it comes to street names and things, but we all know numbers. Anytime I work past 9 p.m., I had to walk to 127th just to catch the bus to begin the ride home. Yeah, that's right. Anytime I worked past 9 p.m., I would have to catch a bus. Excuse me, I would have to walk from 175th basically to 127 just to start the bus ride home. Okay. Long way to go. Now, a lot of people think I'm crazy to do something like that, especially for minimum wage at the time. But there's ideas in my head about what being a man is and what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to make stuff happen. So at that particular point, it's like, no, I'm gonna do what I got to do. I'm gonna get this money, and I'm gonna do what I got to do. If the bus don't go that far, because I ain't have a car at the time, if a bus don't go that far, I'm just gonna make it happen. Okay. Now, when you do that for minimum wage, I will say this, y'all. When you do something like that for minimum wage, when people complain to me about other stuff, sometimes it can be difficult to see how hard it is in their mind. Because, people, you have your own perception about how hard something is. When you talk to the guy that anytime he worked past 9 p.m., he got to walk from 175th to 127th to start to make the trip home on public transportation. Sometimes people say that, the ideas of what people say they couldn't do, sometimes I just can't hear them as loud. I just say that I don't hear them as loud. Okay, so I do believe certain things and ideas of manhood was formed in my head at that particular time because I'm 18 at this particular point. I know I'm an adult, and I do think there is a difference between being an adult and being grown. Because even when you say the word grown, that means growth has occurred. That's what you're saying when you say somebody's grown. Growth has occurred. I look at 18 as, yeah, you became an adult. See, that's male or female. Yeah, you're an adult, but are you grown? Not necessarily grown just because you're 18. You are an adult, though. Okay, so I will hold you accountable as an adult, but growth is something that occurs over time. And how much can you have grown from being a child at 17, then boom, your 18th birthday come? You ain't really grown yet. Okay, so when can I say I became a man? Okay, I was a young man, early 20s. I got fired, y'all. I think that's what happened. I'm not sure. I had so many jobs, but it was a couple times I did get fired. I believe at this particular point, I was fired. Early 20s, right? Just got my first apartment on my own. Okay. First one on my own. I got fired. At least that's the way I remember it. Okay. That's the way I remember it. Okay. I just signed up for this apartment. Hadn't even moved in yet. About to move in. Boom. Now I ain't got no job. So what did I do, y'all? Which I've said this before, y'all. What did I do? I did some thinking. And, I decided I'm not finna panic about nothing. Okay, I ain't finna panic. You know what I'm saying? I just got this place on my own. I'm not finna turn around and say I can't make it on my own. I'm not doing that. Okay, I wasn't gonna do that. It just couldn't enter my mind to turn around and be like, yeah, y'all, the first place I'm finna live by myself. I couldn't make it. I ain't even got in the door for real. No, I'm not going to do that. So I did some thinking. Okay, well, I need money now. Okay, it was it was a bit of work to apply for jobs back then, but I need money now. Okay, and I ain't had no car at this point, y'all. My first car, y'all, that thing lasted about a good 6 months. That was only like a $500 car, but it lasted about 6 months. So at this point that I got the apartment by myself, first time I'm finna live by myself, y'all. Job gone. Okay. Job was gone. I ain't finna turn around and go home like I can't make it. That's not finna happen. That's just not my worldview at that particular time. Now I will tell you this, y'all. Back when I was in high school, I sold some candy, man. Somebody else did it, gave me the idea. When they stopped doing it, I started doing it. Okay. And I even went door to door in some places, selling candy, door to door. People, it was all right. I made a little money. So when I ain't had no job and I'm finna get into this apartment that I already done signed up for the apartment. The apartment mine. I'm not finna not make it, y'all. I'm just not finna not make it. So what did I do? I took my last $20. I went and bought some candy. And I started selling candy, y'all. That's what I started doing. Why? Because I refuse to fail. It's that simple at the end of the day. Now, as I look back on my life, I'm trying to figure out, when did I really understand or know when I became a man? It was then. Now, that may not be that glamorous of a story. Okay? It may not be something that people expect or even is a big deal to some people. But no, I'm being realistic. When I look back over my life, that's when I can say, yeah, I definitely became a man at that particular point. Why? Because I was willing to do what it takes to make it in the world, regardless of conditions. Point blank, period, y'all. I was willing to do what I needed to do to make it in the world, regardless of conditions, regardless of it being quote unquote sexy, regardless of it being some story that you can quote unquote brag off of. Okay. Regardless of, how people want to hear some great journey about how you did this and how you became. No. That's when I got faced with, am I going to stand up on my own and make it, or am I not going to make it? Am I going to be a failure because somebody else decided that I'm a failure? Okay. Is that what's going to happen to me? Okay. Again, y'all, I ain't said I remember 100% for sure, because I ran through so many jobs at the time trying to be a rapper and doing stuff or whatever. But I do believe, at least the way I remember it right now, I got fired from somewhere and I literally had $20 left in my pocket. Literally $20. I had one $20 bill. And with that one $20 bill, I had to make a decision. Am I a man or not? Okay. So, yeah, it may not be as glamorous as some of y'all's story. Now, I hope other people join the panel with some really good stories of, when they think about how or when they became a man. But no, this is my story, man. Either I'm grown or I'm not. See, that's when I had to face that decision. Am I grown or am I not grown? Because if I'm grown, I can make it in the world. If I just think I'm grown, I got to go back and beg. Or I got to go back and ask somebody for some favors. I got to go back and ask somebody, can they take care of me? Okay. I didn't have this ideal. I'm finna go back home, y'all. And I'm not mad at anybody who's done that. Okay. But see, at that point, it was too critical to how I view myself about what I was going to do. So when I got fired, no income left coming, I literally had a $20 bill in my wallet. I remember that wallet. Well, that's all I had. And I'm making a decision. Am I coming home? Now, I could go home. That's never been a problem for me, y'all. I can go home. Okay, that's never been a problem for me. All right. It's honestly, it's not a problem for me today. I told y'all my mother and father, they've been divorced for years at this point. I can go to either one of their house and just show up and say I live there, and ain't neither one finna say nothing to me. I do have it like that. It's a beautiful thing. I'm not saying it to brag. I'm just saying that's a wonderful thing to know that my parents will have my back no matter what my situation is. But then I had to make a decision. Am I a failure in this world just because I done lost this job? Am I a failure? Is somebody else going to decide whether I'm a man or not? And I just couldn't allow somebody else to make that decision for me. So that's what I did, y'all. I took $20. I went and bought a box of candy. I sold that candy. Once I sold that candy, I went back to the store. I bought more candy and I sold that. Next thing I know, I ain't gonna say I was making money hand over fist, y'all, but I was making a little something. I still wish to this day I would have tracked how much money I was making, because I found that I could make it on my own, and I didn't go get a job for a good period of time, y'all. A good period of time. I might have did that for a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years, possibly. It was a good period of time, and the only reason that I even got back into the job force or look for a job at some particular, a whole other issue came up, and it was about people's personal feelings. It had nothing to do with me not making it, because I found out I was making enough money to pay my rent. Y'all, I was paying my phone bill. Back in the day, I had the landline, but I got the cell phone too. So I had both of them, y'all. I had the landline and the cell phone. I was able to pay whatever bills I had coming. I ain't saying I was balling. I wasn't balling, nothing like that, y'all. But I definitely was making it. So I had to make a decision. I think this was around, I'm gonna say about 23, 22-ish, something around that. Because it was my first apartment on my own. So I was young, but I made the decision. Was I a failure because somebody else decided I'm a failure? Or am I gonna make it on my own? So now I took $20, I made it. Okay. And I made it. Okay. And that's just the way I see the world at this particular point. I took $20, and $20 was all I needed to make it. So it's hard for me to tell me something, y'all, when I ain't trying to hear what you're saying. You can't tell me I'm gonna fail, because I don't believe you. And that's real talk. But let me give it up. I got two other guests here, so I want them to, get their words in. Shout out to the Great Black Reset. Appreciate you for coming up, my brother. Appreciate you for coming up. And shout out to Supreme Emperor Dessalines. The Great Black Reset. I'm gonna give
What's
you the mic
happening?
first.
What's happening, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's happening here? Oh, you know what? Let me say this real quick, y'all. I do apologize. I wasn't able to get on air yesterday. I know a lot of y'all got upset that the Roger Report Live didn't happen on the Monday. It was not planned, y'all. Some stuff happened. Some things broke. Some things need to be addressed, and I ended up. I think I ended up working to a good 6:30 in the morning. I couldn't do no show at 9, y'all. I needed some sleep. My apologies. I know y'all miss me, but I wouldn't miss y'all just for no reason. So I did what I could, and I had to come back today. But go ahead, Great Black Reset. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, man, you changed my Monday, man. I ain't getting no work done because you ain't getting no work done on Monday, man. Mess me up. Mess me up, man. But yeah, man, glad you back today. First off, shout out to the Candy Man and all the Candy Mans out there. We ain't gonna ask too many questions about the type of candy you were selling. We just proud you made it with $20.
But let
um,
me, Let me just say this real quick. I sold legitimate candy, y'all. Okay. Shout out to Afro Merch. He said, no cap, you could turn $20 into candy, $20 in candy to 100. I've done it in high school. I turned $20 into tens of thousands of dollars. Because I
yeah,
lived off this for a while. I turned $20 into tens of thousands of dollars.
man,
Okay, so
that got to be
nobody
some
can
of the
tell me I
best
can't make
candy.
it.
That's some of the best candy in Chicago. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey,
That's all I'm gonna say.
regular candy that you would buy, I sold stuff you would give to your children, y'all. I sold stuff that you would give to your children. I ain't saying I sold that other kind of candy. No, I never did that. I took regular old candy, and boom, next thing I know, I'm selling tens of thousands of worth of candy. I ain't gonna say I made no 100,000, but I sold tens of thousands, and I did live off of it for a while. So go ahead. I just want to make sure that's clear for folks, okay?
Shout out to you. Shout out to you. No, my journey of becoming a man was different. Uh, I grew up without my father for a good portion of my life. We didn't reconnect till I was about 19. So that was kind of where my journey started. But I will say the one thing that lingered over from that was my mother taught me to hate my father. And I didn't realize that until we reconnected. And it was bitter for about 2 years. and there was another 3 years after that of me learning how to forgive him, so to speak, which is lack of a better term. Um, so I would say about 24, 25 is when I started realizing I didn't know anything about being an adult, and I had to accept who my father was because he is in me, and I needed to understand who I was, the mannerisms I had, and things like that. And I say all this to say to any women listening to this, you stunt the growth of your sons by not allowing your sons to be in their father's lives, whatever that looks like. I'm telling you from personal experience. So it really took me past having my first child at 23 and into and my second child, to be honest with you, into my early 30s when I was about 31 years old to accept responsibility, which is what it sounds like what happened with you. You got to a crux where you had to accept responsibility. Well, I learned to accept responsibility, and responsibility for me is like a coat. It's heavy, and you got to learn how to wear it and not want to take it off. And once I was able to accept responsibility for me, myself, the people that I love, be accountable, and be the type of person that my friends could count on in any and all circumstances, that's when I really felt like I became a man. And my peers and the older men started treating me as a man and letting me know that I had arrived. So I was probably between the 31 and 35 when I started really feeling manhood in the way it should be.
Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. And let me say shout out to Afro Merchant, y'all. He says, shout out to you for consistently giving us content 9 to 12 Chicago time for years. You deserve a break, bro, every now and then. Well, I appreciate that, brother. I do appreciate that. And I didn't take a break just to be taking a break, y'all. I took a break because I'm a human being and I do have to sleep at some point. And I still had to get up Monday and make some other money. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't say I laid in bed all day. It's just, man, I needed some sleep time in there somewhere. I needed some sleep time. So sometimes, you just have a day. It was one of those Murphy Laws kind of day on Sunday, y'all. Everything that could go wrong seemed like it was going wrong. So, and I really wanted to do the show yesterday. I really, really, really wanted to do the show yesterday, but it is what it is. Sometimes you can't have every single thing you want. But shout out to you, the Great Black Reset. And I definitely appreciate that. Taking responsibility does have a whole lot to do with being a man. And, me, I just refuse to fail. To get my first place by myself, I just refuse to fail. I just couldn't go home and tell my mom or my dad that I can't make it. I need help. I just refuse to say I need help, and that's really what it was back then. I can make it in this world, period. And I had to believe in myself. I just could not tell my parents I can't make it in this world. I just wasn't going to do it. But Supreme Emperor Dessalines, you got the mic, my brother. What it is for you, my brother? What was it for you?
Happy Tuesday, Roger.
Happy Tuesday, brother. Happy Tuesday.
What's up, Kevin? Yeah, all right. Never mind.
He's on mute.
Yeah. You know what? I thought you got snatched by the Ganacracy yesterday, man.
It wasn't quite that, man.
I'm myself because I got this.
Yeah, for real. I was worried. I was like, ooh, that show about manhood probably triggered the feminine king. They got to him first. God damn it. We lost him.
In the great words of Snoop Dogg, I'm too swift on my toes to be caught up with these hoes, okay?
For real. I said, damn. I gotta ask around what happened. Because we know these type of shows tends to trigger the feminine, the unwashed itches. But
I
for
mean,
me,
that's a good thing. Yeah, I appreciate that theory when you didn't know. I appreciate that theory. Real talk.
yeah. And I think about the subject. For me, I had to become a man. I think at around 15 years old when I really had to take care of my little sister. Yes, yes, yes. Emperor has a little sister. Who would have thought? So when I really had to step up and take care of her, I think that's when my manhood journey really started because I didn't have a book, a guideline about how to be the man, how to take care of somebody else. You know, I was just doing what seemed the right at the time. I mean, I had to get like little side hustle to come up with all kind of money to support her the best way I could. It wasn't pretty though. I gotta say it. It wasn't pretty. I made a lot of mistakes. I had to deal with things that I was not expected. And by the time I was 18 years old, man, I was like a grown man. I think by the time I was 18, I was probably able to have deep conversations and understanding about what other men had to go through by the time they were 30, or by the time they were in their 30s. Because by the time I was 25, so I had to take care of myself and my sister for about a good decade now. So I understand. You know what I mean? I understand what it was like to not have a lot in your pocket and figure it out, how to stretch a couple dollars. I had to learn how to make cornmeals from scraps. You know what I mean? Go to the market and buy whatever you can for myself and her. And every once in a while, so I had to discipline somebody else, like a father should. I mean, I had to, I had to set boundaries. I had to tell her where to go, when to come home, when to come back to school. You know, school drops, school releases at 2:30, and by 3:45, you gotta be at home. Otherwise, you're not. My bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Oh, yeah. I had a phone call, so yeah, it was it was a nice journey. Although I have to admit that I have failed. Everything didn't happen as I planned, but I did my best. I did my best. So that was when it started.
Okay, well, I definitely appreciate that, and I'm gonna say your best was good enough because that's all you got.
Right.
Real talk. Can't give nobody more than your best. And y'all, today I'm suspending, just for today, we are suspending the 2-minute opening rule because when people tell their story about how or when they became a man, I ain't trying to interrupt their stories if it take longer than 2 minutes. So that rule is suspended just for today. It'll be back tomorrow. Don't get it twisted. It will be back tomorrow. Now I also want to say shout out to Floyd Thompson, y'all, because when I set this show up yesterday, now I don't remember what it said, but Floyd did send in a $5 super chat yesterday. So thank you very much, my brother. I appreciate it. I couldn't see it this morning, but I know you sent something yesterday. So shout out to you, brother. Appreciate that big time. Okay. I also want to say shout out to Gold P because that man hit me at 5 in the morning, y'all. 5 in the morning. Drop that $5.95 to the Cash App. He say taxes paid. And I'm gonna say, yes, sir. And I appreciate that big time, my brother. Appreciate that big time. Y'all, keep in mind the Cash App never closes over here at the Roger Report Live. That's $ the Roger Report, y'all. It never closes over here. Shout out to Gold P for that. And look at this here, y'all. Look at this here. Shout out to Gold P again on the super chat. He said, shout out to the Roger Report, shout out to the chat, and all the peoples in the cloud. Shout out to the likes button. Keep winning, brothers. Hey, keep winning, Gold P. Keep winning, Gold P. Always good to see you, brother. Always good to see you. And that's real talk. And I want to say, y'all got to stop this blasphemy, man. Shout out to Afro Merch. He said, you don't have to lie to us, Roger. He said, you don't have to lie to us. Roger was partying all weekend after the Bears won. I don't know where you get these crazy ideas from that I would forsake y'all due to a Bears victory. That would never happen, people. That will never happen, y'all. And I'm going to put it out right now. I was talking about this yesterday, y'all. You know, Bears Super Bowl win, y'all. We having a miracle season. I'm claiming it right now, y'all. We having a miracle season. Bears Super Bowl champions. Well, technically in 26. They're 2026 Super Bowl champions. I think we're on our way to a miracle season, y'all. I think that's what we're doing. Real talk. Okay, because we definitely not. Hey, I can't.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
I can't throw some support for my team.
Not gonna happen.
I mean, everything seemed to be lining up. Okay, it's a lot of stuff lining up. Okay, you know,
y'all making the playoffs. Y'all making the playoffs. That's it. That's it. That's all. I'm not gonna let you go on with this craziness that you start off real good. No, brother, y'all a few years away from even sniffing the Super Bowl, brother. You know what? I believe you eating some of your candy this morning. That's what happened with you, bro.
I'm gonna tell y'all what it is, y'all. I used to make all these jokes about we got to wait till Virginia McCaskey to die, so the Bears organization would do something. And now I would jokingly say that because she's so old, she was like the oldest member of the McCaskey family. But she did die. You know, rest in peace to her. Hopefully she made it into the kingdom, but she is dead now. So maybe the curse has been lifted.
Lord have mercy. So Raj over here using necromancy trying to get the Bears to
No. I just want to say I support my team. And hopefully they involve this miracle season that it looks like. That's what I'm saying. It's a miracle season. I know some people's like, well, you know, when they played against the Packers, they ain't look so hot. Now that's a rivalry. Rivalries don't count. Rivalry game can go either way. That's just the way it is. But hey, shout out to the Bears looking for that Super Bowl championship this year. Well, not this year technically, but next year. 2026 Super Bowl champions. Roger's saying it first, y'all. I'm saying it first. Okay, we having a miracle season right now. Virginia done died. Sorry you gonna miss it, Virginia, but maybe you can see it from where you at. Okay, maybe you can see it from where you at. Shout out to Bucket. Bucket said, and thank you very much for the super chat, my brother. He said, appreciate the message, Roger. God bless. Well, thank you very much, my brother, and thank you for this blessing. And that's real talk, y'all. That's real talk. And I want to say, this show today to me is not, again, y'all, everyone's invited to come up and tell their story if you want to tell a story. I'm doing this show because we have so much nonsense going on about what a man is. And I'm pretty sure the nonsense is louder than anybody who's saying something real. And I think a lot of black men have no idea what manhood is because it's not a conversation that we just kind of quote unquote have. You talk to people, you live your life, but we don't have too many. You don't like take a time out to sit down and ask some guy, hey, guy, whoever he is to you, whether it be your father. Unfortunately, the black community, a lot of times it wouldn't necessarily be your father. Maybe somebody you work with, maybe somebody who goes to a church you go to, maybe somebody you play basketball with. You don't really sit down and say, hey, can we have a conversation about what being a man is? That's something that's really not done. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done, but that's something that's really not done. It's not done on a regular basis. So we do need to, start really thinking about what a man actually is, and and share some of these different ideas so hopefully people can piece together some good meanings about what's going on. Now, I don't know how this is going to go, y'all. We got a guest coming up. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little afraid right now. He got his name is Bears Demonetized.
Lord,
So I don't know how he gonna go with this one. But I know this is my main man here. So Bears Demonetized. You got the flow, my brother. You got the flow. Are you coming to share or you coming to rain on my parade?
All right, man. So you think this 40 years ago? Man, they ain't one ish since. So I don't know what you talking about as far as them going to the Super Bowl. I guess you thinking this a preview because they finna go play the 49ers. But
that's a loss.
yeah,
They finna lose that one. Yes,
they
sir.
finna get mopped. But I hope you guys do something. Care for President 2028. Bear stink. It's over with. So that's all I gotta say.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I'm going to say again, shout out to the great Virginia McCaskill who's passed away and the curse is broken and the Bears is involved in a miracle season right now. Okay. Somebody cursed that lady, told her she wasn't going to never see a Bears victory. Well, she gone now. Okay. So we on the right track. I'm saying this. I don't care who they playing. And just because it's the 49ers, I ain't finna change that, y'all. We about to win us a Super Bowl. It's gonna happen this year, and everybody's gonna say what a great season it was. Okay, real talk. But back to this manhood thing. Y'all. Yo, I do think this is a very important concept amongst black men because I hear a lot of nonsense about what a man is, what a man isn't. And truth be told, a lot of us, we have these ideas about manhood that don't seem to be attached to men. And I'm thinking that's sad, y'all. And look, I'm not mad at nobody who done it. But if I haven't said this publicly, I want to make sure I do say this, y'all. A lot of men, when they say, how I became a man, I've heard so many men say, I became a man when I got married and had kids. And I think that's an awful shame. I think that's a god awful shame that is being said. And if it's anybody's reality, I think it's really a god awful shame that that's your actual reality. Because when I think about how sad of a person you had to be, that you didn't become a man until you got married. And I'm gonna say this, y'all, that may be a little controversial. I believe in some cases this is actually a true thing because a lot of black women do look for compromised men. So it could have happened a few times here or there that she married somebody who really didn't step into his manhood because that's what she was looking for. Okay? Any man, I'm saying this, y'all, real talk. Any man who believes your manhood is attached to a woman, you have no idea what a man is.
Well,
I'm going to say that real talk.
you preaching, Roger. God talking, you preaching today. I don't know where that bear stuff came from, but you preaching now, brothers.
You leave my
God
bears alone. You leave my bears alone. But I'm gonna say this, y'all, and it's gone on so far. Okay, it's went amazingly far. Now that you have to see, now it's one thing when you kind of knew people had a bad idea about what manhood is, but now that you have the internet and you see so many people saying a bunch of dumb stuff out here for the public, and then there's no counter narrative to this stupidity, and y'all keep in mind, I've said time and time again, stupidity is a choice. You got to choose to be stupid. You got to be smart enough to be stupid. Because if a person really can't think, we don't call them stupid. They slow. We used to call them retarded. We call them mentally challenged. We don't think of them as actual stupid people. We just think of them as they're not as those that can kind of make it on their own to a certain degree. We don't look at them like they just being stupid. We look at them like, okay, they just not as blessed as the rest of us, and we're gonna look out for these people. If anything, you might feel sorry for a person, or you might feel empathetic toward a person, or You look at them as this is a great thing. Let me do something for them for charity reasons and things like that. We don't just look at them like they're stupid, but there's a lot of stupidity out here about what being a man is. So I wanted to see if guys would be willing to tell their stories about when, looking back over your life, how did you know you became a man? And that's why I'm telling y'all, it wasn't a glamorous thing. It's when I decided, I think I was around 23 and I got my first apartment by myself. Either I can make it or I can't. It's that simple. Okay, either I can make it or I can't make it. And I refuse to go back home and say I couldn't make it on my own. I just refuse to do that. Yeah, because I didn't want to believe that about myself. And that's real talk. And I tried to go get another job and all that other stuff, but I was down to my last $20. I had to show and prove, as they say, y'all. I had to show and prove. I had $20 left. I already secured this apartment. Either I can move in there as a man or I can fail and go back home. And I refuse to fail. That's just what it was for me. Okay. Now shout out to my main man Floyd Thompson. I got hope alive. I got some hope. My fingers is crossed while I read this because I saw Bears in it somewhere. So let me see how this goes. Shout out to you, Floyd Thompson. Appreciate the support. He say, Roger, what you saying? Bears versus Patriots? Part of this year's Super Bowl? I became a man the last time when where's he going? I became a man the last time they played, seeing a deleted body after the celebration started in the projects on 49th State. Okay. Right. That's one way to that's one way to speed up the process. Okay, that's definitely one way to speed up the process. Shout out to you, Floyd. Man, I'm gonna say that's one way to do it, brother. That's one way to do it. Okay, you was on 49th and State. Yeah, I remember those projects, y'all. I remember those.
I believe manhood is layered, and it all a lot of it depends on your origin point. Like you grew up with your mother and your father, so you had a solid foundation. Some of us grow up without our mother and father. It's just various different things are going on, but I think some of it's responsibility, some of it's work ethic, willingness to learn from your mistakes, willingness to go out and get new information from various different sources and apply it because we're gonna have failures. We try stuff and we fail. We're like, okay, that didn't work. Let me make adjustments. But I think the biggest thing is once you really accept that responsibility and you refuse to quit, just like you did in your situation. Man, I refuse to quit. I refuse to accept the loss. Just like the Bears, they ain't gonna win the Super Bowl, but they ain't gonna accept it. I understand.
I shouldn't even brought them up. I shouldn't even brought them up, man. Real talk. Shout out to my Bears though, and shout out to Gold P. He said, "How do you place 67 cent on the super chat?" Now I'm gonna say shout out to Floyd Thompson one more again. Since he played 67 cent, I'm gonna say maybe he was putting the 57-cent Trail Bentley tax, and maybe he accidentally hit the 6 instead of the 5, and I got that extra dime, and I'm gonna take that. Real talk. How about that, Gold P? I'm gonna take that. Shout out to Floyd Thompson for the Trail Bentley tax, whether it was on accident or on purpose. And I'm gonna take that extra dime. But real talk, hey, that's support. So I appreciate it, brother. And Gold P, why you question why people add money to my super chats? I mean, you're a strong supporter. So you hate is you hate. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it sounds like it.
I can't have a dime, Gold P. I can't have a dime. But real talk, manhood is later. I have to definitely agree with you. And I thought about this last night. Like, where am I gonna really start from when it comes to this manhood thing? Because there's certain things that you do over time. Okay. And shout out to Floyd Thompson. He said the 10 cent, the bear stack. I take it. I definitely take it. Yeah, and like I said, over time you do certain things. Now that you have hindsight, you can look back and see where did it really come together for you. And I know my story don't sound glamorous or nothing like that. It's not. People have different stories of when they became a man. Some people, they might say, well, when I came out of college, I got my first job, and As soon as I got a few checks, I went and put a down payment on a mortgage. People may have stories like that. My story is I had to decide, can I make it on my own or not? I'm too old to believe that I can't make it myself. And that's what it was for me. Now, even though that don't sound all that glamorous, it is saying I'm willing to take full responsibility of me no matter what the world throws at me. And the fact that I was able to do it for such a good period of time, it makes me feel good at the end of the day. And it does put me in a position where when you say I'm going to fail, I don't have to believe you. And I thank God for that one. I ain't got to believe nobody who say I'm going to fail because I've been able to make it off the world with $20. How do you tell a man he can't make it if all he needs is $20 to make it? You know what I'm saying? It does something to you mentally. It does something to, I'm going to say partially your ego. Okay, but I do recommend you try to keep your ego in check. I'm always say that, y'all. Try to make sure you keep your ego in check. But it puts you in a position where people can't really threaten you the way folks have had to be threatened. If you do this, well, I'm gonna take your job from you. Can you threaten a person with a job loss if they can make it with $20? See, I don't have to listen to people the same way because I know in my heart, you give me $20, I'm good. I'm gonna make it. And that's real talk. So I like having that tucked in there that all I really need is $20 and I'm good. Because I can beg for $20. I can go be a bum and beg on the street for get $20 up, but then guess what? I've made it in like once I got $20. Because I wasn't worried about now, y'all keep in mind, I'm a real person. So while I'm doing this, people's talking to me, people got their ideas. Some people are older people, some people are younger people. I go get on the trains, which technically wasn't supposed to do, y'all. We wasn't supposed to do it, so I ain't gonna promote that. But that's what I was doing. I'm gonna tell the truth. I was getting on the trains a lot, going to trains, sell candy to all the different people riding what we call the L train here. It's like a subway, but it's not underground all the time. We call it the elevated train, so we call it the L for short. Okay, I'm pretty sure people have an idea of what I'm talking about. Get on the L, sell some candy, move about my business. Now it was illegal, so I didn't got caught. All we really got was well, technically like the ticket you give you a little bit of money, but the ticket was only like $35. You know what I'm saying? Okay, if I take a chance of getting caught and I only got to pay $35, I can take a $35 loss to get the rest of this money. So I was cool with it. And I got supervision like a time or two, which doesn't mean don't get in trouble with the police no more. So yeah, I made it. I made it. Okay. And shout out to how do you pronounce this? Satakane? Sudakane, I guess to pronounce it. Sudakane. And no disrespect, of course, he said that $20 in candy is more like $100 today. Well, I would say this. I only need to get one box. That's all I needed. That's all I got back then was one box. I can tell you back then, I remember it costed me $18 and I believe 36 cents to buy some candy that had I think it was like 36 units in each box. Sold it for $1. You know what I'm saying? So basically almost double my money. So yeah, it might be more like $100 today, but I only need one box to start. So I don't know what one box will cost today, but all I need is one box. And once I got that one box, I'm gonna sell that. I'm gonna sell that box. I'm gonna be back. It's that simple, y'all. I'm back. It is what it is. Okay. Now that may not be the game that other people talking about. I'm back in the game, but it was illegal. I can sell the candy and I can actually keep the money. So that's the beautiful part about that. Even if I got busted, they don't take all your money from you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they give you a ticket, but the thing is, don't get caught all the time. Definitely don't get caught regularly. And if you get caught in blue moon, okay, it's only $35. It ain't like it's gonna kill you. And that's what it was back then. I don't do it no more, of course, but that's what it was back then. But it's not about the candy. It's about me having this understanding that I can make it in the world as a man on my own. It's nice to have people that got your back, but it's nice to not need the people who got your back. And that's real talk. And I didn't have to struggle the way other people did. I'm not saying my place was all that. You know what I'm saying? It was the first apartment I ever got by myself. It wasn't that class. It wasn't that nice. I'll say that. It wasn't no nice place like that, but it was what I could afford at the time, and it was mine, so it was good. Okay? But to me, that was better than going back home. Not because home was a bad place. I just needed to know I can make it on my own. And I wanted other people to see I can make it on my own. I refused to call people that loved me, people who wouldn't have mind letting me just come home. My mother and father, you know what I'm saying? I could have went to different aunties and uncles' houses too. But I just refused to call people and just say, look, man, I can't make it on my own. I still need help. That just didn't sit right with me. It just didn't sit right. And my thing is, that's really what being a man is about. Knowing that you can make it on your own. Knowing that you're willing to do the things that require you to make it on your own. Now, y'all may think it's a simple story about maybe selling some candy. It ain't that. It's about knowing that I'm willing to do what it's going to take to make it on my own. And unfortunately, we have people who are raised that don't get to that particular point. You got some people who've been raised by women because your daddy ain't going to let you lay on the couch. That's one thing about your dad. Your dad ain't going to just let you be no grown man laying on this couch. You ain't finna be 27 years old laying on your father's couch doing nothing. Daddy don't play that. I ain't never seen one father who let something like that happen. Now, his mamas, they'll let you be 47 laying on the couch and not doing anything. And she'll tell other people to leave him alone. you what's up with you, mama? You let Twan in here. Twan ain't never left the house. Twan, 47 years old, ain't got to do this, got to do this. You be telling me to do all this. Y'all leave Twan alone. That's what she said. Y'all leave Twan alone. Okay? You leave him alone. Twan is my baby, he ain't your baby. You leave Twan alone.
I have seen that in real life. You are not lying, brother. You are not lying, man. I think two things are important here. Is one, um, understanding what defines a man is usually, some adversity that you're gonna come across, being able to provide stability for yourself, and going through those things that you need to go through. And none of it is related to a woman, as you stated. And the thing is, as we're going through life, we need to remember that our manhood never was and never will be related to a woman. And don't let a woman trick you into saying, well, a real man, right after that, she'll follow with, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
I ain't gonna even lie, y'all. I've stopped women dead in their tracks when they said, and I'm gonna say shout out to the Revelator. He said salute Roger and salute the greatest chat panel and daytime show on social media. Hey, appreciate you saying that, my brother. Appreciate you saying that. Yeah, there's a lot of women who will say a real man, and I would stop them. I said, don't you dare say your own opinion. Tell me what your daddy told you a real man was. Okay?
I like that.
If men are the leaders, stop accepting the definitions of what something is from a woman. A woman cannot tell you what a real man is. She can tell you what her daddy told her what a real man is. Because understand, when she's telling you what another man said, you can take all that with a grain of salt because you don't know if he actually said that. This is just her version of what she believes some guy said at some particular point in time. And the question, was she even listening when he was talking? We don't know none of that. So I take all that with a grain of salt. So that really don't even matter all that much to me either. But what I refuse to do is let a woman tell me what a man is, especially if it didn't come from a man's approval, even though I probably won't believe her anyway. It's just the idea that a woman in a world where she's supposed to be led by men to be able to tell me what a man, it don't jive. It don't jive. If you want to tell me what a man is, the best thing to do if you're a woman, is tell me that while you standing next to your husband. That's the best time to tell me what you think a man is, when you standing next to your husband. And that's real talk. But we got another guest. So I'm going to go ahead and give the mic over to FOG. Good to have you back, brother. I believe you've been here once before. Good to have you back. You have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Roger,
sir.
can you
We
hear
can
me,
hear you.
man? Good to be here, and thanks for having me. I made a comment, and what you said previously, just maybe a few minutes ago, I was like, man, is he talking about me? Is he talking about my comment? But but it's all good.
I hadn't even seen it. I ain't even seen your comment. No, I definitely wasn't. But
Uh,
go
no,
ahead.
it sounded like you pulled it out of my comment and you just talked about it. But and my comment was when you asked the question of when did you become a man, and I said in the comments that I became a man when I became a husband and a father, and you said that a man should never link himself to being with a woman or whatever, but what I meant is the responsibilities that come with being a husband and being a father. um, of course, and I'm a Christian man, as you might remember or not, and it brought me back to Genesis, where it says that therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Um, as we all know, there's a huge responsibility as a husband when you take your wife, and you're taking that woman from her father to become your wife. That is a big responsibility that um, it calls you to have man um, ways of thinking, and the way you conduct yourself, the way you move, the way you support your family. It pushes you to be a man. Before I was an adult, as you mentioned, if you come up here and you say you're 18 and you became a man when you were 18, not necessarily you are an adult, but you're not necessarily a man. So there's certain things that a person takes in as responsibility that uh, um, builds him up to become a man or a woman. So that is my two cents. If you guys want to talk about that, or yeah.
Oh man, I have a comment on your comment. Um, I didn't see your comment either, so it's just ironic. But the Bible also says, when I was a child, I thought as a child, and I did things as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So becoming a man is in effect putting away childish things. It's just like you're growing up and you're like, man, when I grow up, I'm gonna live in this kind of house. I'm gonna drive this kind of car. Those are fanciful thinkings that we have when we're a child. But when we become a man, we start realizing, hey, man, I can only afford a Honda Accord. Shoot, I can only afford this apartment over here. And you move in a way that is real to you. So you put away childish things. Now, I applaud you for taking on the responsibility of being a husband and a father, but that is you being a man already, accepting the responsibility of having a wife and bearing children. So it is slightly different, but it is part of the layer, it's part of the layers that we're talking about of responsibility that continue to sharpen us and make us grow and take us forward. So I don't take anything away from your comment, but you coupling with your wife was after you had become a man, brother. In my opinion.
And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna give it to Bad Black Gamma because I am gonna revisit that. For those of you who get married and have children, I'm gonna say shame on you if you wasn't a man beforehand, and that's real talk. That's just one of the. Those are two of the things that men do. And some men get married. Some men have children. You should have been a man before that happened, and that's just real talk. But I'm gonna get into that. I don't want nobody to think, I'm trying to shame somebody, saying, because they say, well, that's when I be. No, that's definitely not when you should have became a man. I'm gonna say that it shouldn't. It definitely shouldn't be when you became a man. You should have already been a man before you got married. Anyone who's truly not a man shouldn't be getting married to anybody. And if your wife married you and you wasn't a man, that says something horrible about her. But I'm gonna clear all this up, but I'm gonna let Bad Black Gamer get his time in first, and then we can come back to that. Bad Black Gamer, you got the flow. Good to see you, brother.
Hey, good morning, Roger. Good morning to the chat. Salutes all around. Y'all heard me okay?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. To me, there's two times when you actually become a man, or two times when the world, receive you as a man, or you should feel like you're a man. I'll say one of the times, and I say there's two times because as a black man, there's like two times, the first time, one of the times when I realized I became a man is when I got that letter in the mail for selective service, and you realize like, okay, now I can go to war and die for my country. You know what I'm saying? And the other time I realized I became a man is when I was 12 years old and I was walking down a parking lot and a white lady locked her door. And I was like, oh shit, like what she locked her door for? And I'm like, oh, she thinks I'm a threat, So I'm being funny right now, but yeah, that's it's like you become a man. Yeah, go ahead.
That was your initial nigga moment. You became a nigga.
That's my nigga wake up card. I'm like, what she locked the door for? And then click, and then click. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I looked around. I'm like, I'm like, oh, it's just me. I'm like, wait a minute. So that's when I had my wake up moment because and what's funny about it, that same lady had a 12-year-old son, but she didn't see her white son as being like, a black, your black 12-year-old black boy look different than a 12-year-old white boy for some reason.
Yeah.
But we all know why.
Yeah.
But no.
That 12-year-old white boy look like a boy. That 12-year-old boy like a nigga. That's what the white boy like a boy. The black one like a nigga.
Yeah, Roger, I think it's as in my opinion, the way I see it, I think it's dangerous for us to say that I became a man as a 15-year-old, or I became a man as a 12-year-old, or whatever, or even as a 16, 17-year-old, I became a man. And this is dangerous. Why? Because this is the internet, and of course there's other people listening, and this is dangerous. Why? Because then we're going to have 15, 16, 17-year-old boys wanting to do manly things when they are not there yet. Okay, they do stuff, and then they say, no, I'm doing this because I'm a man. Wait a second, are you really a man? It's one thing if you take in responsibilities, okay, that comes along with being a man. Another thing is to say, I'm a 16-year-old a child, because we all agree that a 16-year-old is not a man, is a child, correct?
Yeah, you can't technically be an
So
adult.
you can't really say. So you really can't say I became a man when I was a 16-year-old because of this experience. I had this experience in my life, and because of this, because I had to take care of my sister, I had to take care of my grandma, or whatever, I took this responsibility as a 16-year-old. I became a man.
No.
Are we going to call him a man now? Because
hold on. No.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that.
This is the thing. We don't have enough context of what was actually going on, and so I can't judge him personally. And keep in mind, this is everyone saying when I realized I became. And unfortunately, there are children who literally have to take on everything that a man would have to take on before they make it to their 18th birthday. That is a real thing.
Yep.
So we can't ignore that. We can't ignore that that's a real thing. It's even, I'm gonna say, it's
Yep.
even slightly
I
more
agree with
difficult
you. It
because,
is a real thing. Yes.
well, yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
saying
You got to think about it. There's people that have died for their country, and they was only 16, 15 years old.
yeah,
Like there's been men, boys go to war and killed other men at 15, 16 years old.
yeah, and I'm gonna say it's more difficult when you are not even 18 to do some of the things that men have to do that you really shouldn't have to think about till you maybe 22, 25, 27. So the thing is, the reason we're having this conversation so we can, really start thinking about what a man truly is. Because I get where you coming from, but I couldn't say he's no wrong than you are based on you saying, well, I became a man when I got married and had kids, because you said in the comment. I didn't see it, but you said it, and I believe it. Now I'm gonna say this, and this is why that's just as dangerous. And y'all keep in mind, my channel is for adults. And if you're a child watching my channel, make sure you have your parents' permission, okay? Because I think parents would allow you to watch this particular channel, okay? But if you're a kid and you somehow found this, even though my stuff is slated for adults, make sure you got your parents' permission. Now, this is what I'm gonna say. We got to let this thing go about I became a man when I got married and had kids. Why? It is something that men do. Men get married, men have children. I'm not saying you can't, but a boy can have kids. And if he got his parents' permission, a boy can even get married. Remember, y'all, your parents can sign off on your marriage before your 18th birthday if it's cool with them. So boys can do that too. So I do get what you're saying, FOG, and that's what I'm saying. We got to understand what a man is. A man is not about your birthday. Yeah, you become an adult at 18. And I've said plenty of times on my channel that I hold you to a whole different set of rules on your 18th birthday and beyond, because you are no longer a minor. A minor, I'm going to give more room to because they're still growing up. But at 18, whether you like it or not, you got to accept there's real world consequences, just as mentioned about, even though he said it jokingly, getting that letter saying you best was to agree with this or you could end up going to jail. Talking about you got to agree to be drafted if necessary, or you can go to jail. That's a man moment. I ain't gonna say it makes you a man, but that's definitely a man's moment. Okay. And that's why I said earlier, even when I was like 18 and I'm walking from 175 to 127, I'm not gonna necessarily say that made me a man, but that's a man moment. I had to start thinking of things in different ways. That's me developing as a man. It's only because I've been taught certain things about manhood that I would even take that walk on a regular basis. So what is a man actually? A man is someone who is willing to take on responsibility for himself and others. And I've said this more than on one occasion, that's when you're grown, when you can take care of yourself and somebody else. But a man will take a responsibility for things he did do, didn't do. He's going to take on family responsibility. He'll take on, well, of course, personal responsibility. He'll even take on some community responsibilities. Point blank, period. A lot of things encompass being a man. And I'm going to say, if you were not a man before you got married, shame on you. Because you're saying something about yourself and you're saying something very terrible about your wife. And I don't want nobody to take that personally. I want y'all to understand this. And even if you got Christian beliefs, which I do as well, there is a reason that God made Adam before he made Eve and then gave Eve to him.
Hey, Roger.
Adam was a man before he got Eve. You have to be a man first. Then you get the wife. Okay? Because think about, and I want all the men out there, this is not toward FOG, okay? I'm just saying, all the men, I want y'all to really think about the concept of saying, I became a man when I got married, because you're literally saying your wife chose somebody who wasn't a man. That is no compliment to her at all. That's technically an insult.
It would be embarrassing to her in public.
Yeah, and
if
I
that was
understand
said in
as,
public.
yeah, as black men, we a lot of black men think in these gynocentric ways or these matriarchal ways. So we don't realize how, because there's a lot of bad sayings that are out there that are promoted time and time again. So I'm not saying anybody wouldn't say this, but I'm saying when you really think about some of the stuff we're saying, what am I saying about a woman who accepts a person who's not a man as her husband? There's no way you can pull a compliment out of that.
Hey Roger, let me say this. I don't know if it's been said before the show already. Men are made. We're not born. You know what I'm saying? Like we become men through like what we take on and the things that happen in our lives and the responsibility, and then we have to take what's the word I'm looking for? Like when things happen, like okay, you're responsible for that. We gotta take accountability, and we always you always know that the accountability is on you at the end of the day, no matter what happens. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, men are made. We're not born men. We become men, by how we live our lives and what we do. But I do believe that like any man that gets married, he's already a man. I think every man becomes a man at some point. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's guys out here like 30-year-old and they're boys. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm not gonna call
Oh
nobody a
no,
boy
there's a lot of those.
well, I'm not gonna call anybody a boy because I'm not trying to take your manhood from you, which is something that's been done to black men since at least 1619.
Right.
But what I
Right.
am gonna say, and I'm gonna give it to Red Pill Sleeper Cell because he didn't came up. What I am gonna say is manhood is something that you accept. That's really the thing about manhood. It's something you gotta accept. Because you can tell me I need to be responsible and I'm 22, and I can still take no responsibility. Manhood is something you have to grow and be willing to accept. Now, FOG, because I've heard him speak before today, I'm going to say if I had to bet my own money, now I do something different if I was betting somebody else's money, but if I had to bet my own money, I would bet money that FOG was a man before he got married, regardless of what he said. You know what I'm saying?
I have
Because
the same sentiment.
and that's real talk. But for those of you, if you literally married a woman and you was not a man,
Roger, can I say something? I
well,
don't
let me
think
just say
you're.
this real quick.
Okay, go
Shame
ahead.
on you if you married any woman and you wasn't truly a man. Real talk. And shame on her for taking you on as a husband. Well, really it's you taking her on. So if she allows you to take her on as a wife, shame on her too. Real talk. But go ahead, and I'm gonna let you say what you say. Then I'm gonna give
Uh,
it to Red Pill Super Cell.
Roger, you did say earlier that a man um, is someone who leaves behind the childish ways, right? That's scripture.
But that was the great Black Reset who said I ain't gonna take his
Oh,
credit.
okay.
Like he said it, but go ahead.
Right. But it was said, right? It was said that, and it is scripture that it does say that a man is someone who leaves childish things behind to become a man, right?
Yeah, it was said. Mm-hmm.
So before someone gets married, if they're still doing childish things, are they man?
Yeah, because there's some guys who won't give up childish things. That's what I'm saying. There's some guys who won't give up childish things, and they'll
Okay.
have themselves and they'll have someone else in a bad situation because they refuse to take on responsibility. That's why I'm saying shame
So
on a
are you?
person who won't
So
be a man before he got married.
what are you tying a man to? To responsibility, or to what are you tying a man to?
Well, that's what I'm getting into. What a man
Okay.
is, and that's why I said manhood is something you have to accept because nobody can make you be responsible. You got to accept responsibility. I mean, think about this from a real world terms. No one can make you change the oil on your car. That's the responsibility you got to accept if you want to drive a car. Nobody can make you do it. Heck, I know stories of women who bought cars and never changed the oil and ended up messing their cars up right in the shop because they've been driving for a year and never got an oil change. Nobody can make you accept responsibility. That's something you got to do as a personal choice. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Getting to a certain age ain't gonna necessarily do it for you. A certain situation won't necessarily do it for you because there's people who can even get married and they ain't gonna take care of their wife. This happens in white families all the time. You know, people don't talk about it, but there's plenty of white men who done got a white wife and they never became a man.
Yeah.
Okay, There's a
No,
lot of
this is a
black
good
women.
conversation. This is a good conversation because we need to see, are we tying a man to a male human being, or are we tying a man to responsibilities?
Well,
What?
it's more than just responsibility. Because you're not a man just because you're a slave either. Let's keep that real too. Slaves have a lot of responsibilities, and that don't make them men.
Responsibility.
Okay,
Because some
but
people might, because
hold
some
on,
people
hold
will
on.
say that a man is
Hold on,
a male human being,
hold
right?
on. I gotta get red pill sleeper cell in, y'all. He's saying that I gotta get red pill sleeper cell in. And shout out to No Placeholder real quick. Appreciate you, brother. He said marriage is a responsibility you put on a man, and that's real talk. Okay, that's real talk. There's responsibility that come with marriage, but I'm just saying, realistically speaking, there's some people who don't want responsibility. They'll meet some woman who got enough. Not saying she got to be a rich woman. He will marry her literally to avoid responsibility. Okay, well, my wife got money already. My wife got cars already. My wife got houses already. You know what I'm saying? I can just be who I am if I marry her. So he will bite the bullet and marry somebody he may not even like her that much, but it still keeps him in a position where he don't have to take on responsibility. So he'll deal with it. Now, red pill sleeper cell, you got the flow, my brother. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Roger? Panel chat. Happy holidays to everybody if you celebrated or not. Um, I hope 2026 be just as better as 2025, and I hope Roger does not have to make another YouTube channel
We
in
ain't
2026.
gonna even talk like that, brother. This is the last one.
All right.
This the last
Um,
one.
this goes. My moment almost came. It coincides with Mad Black Gamer. When I got my selector service thing in the mail, I remember this like it was yesterday. I'm at the table eating Captain Crunch cereal. I'm 17. My mother puts the classifieds right on the table. And I'm like, what's this? She said, this is the classified section. This is when they used to have the rooms to rent in the newspapers. Like, you're going to be 18. You're going to be a man, and I'm not taking care of no man. I will help you, but once you turn 18, I cannot live here. My first spot was a single room that I had to pay rent every week, weekly rent for a single room. And I had to work 2 jobs at the time. And then after that, I just sold everything and joined the Marine Corps. That was my manhood moment to me. So right now I'm about to rest the mic because I'm ironing my clothes for work and I got to prepare my ankle braces and my knee braces also. So I'm gonna stand by and listen.
Okay, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. And you know what? I'm gonna say that's definitely a man moment when you realize, because remember you was a kid and you realize that you really do got to sign up to be drafted in this country, which you didn't pay attention to the same way. You just didn't pay attention to the same way. But when it's real and you got to sign off on it, and you understand what you signed, because I remember signing off on it too. And this was real stuff. Look, man, you got to agree that if we need to draft you, you cool with dying for the country. And I'm sitting there, I don't even really like this country right now. All the stuff I'm learning, this country ain't all that cool. I don't want to die for it, but you have to make a decision. It's you can either say you're willing to die for this country, or we might come put you in jail.
You got a choice, Roger.
Hey
You do have a
Roger.
choice.
Hey Roger. But the thing is, say you willing to die, you have no choice.
No, you got a
That's the
choice.
that's the thing.
No, you got a choice.
A female has a choice. As a man, a male, like you got that unit between your legs. It's no discussion. It's no compromise. If something pops off, you are joining, and it's not if but when. When if the ish pops off. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you always. I don't want to say you never got a choice. You always got a choice. I mean, you got a choice. You got a choice to go to jail, you can run and hide, or you got a choice to go out there and man up and do it and do the damn thing. I mean, it's either at the same time. You always got a choice.
Well, yeah, some choices just more difficult than others. I guess technically you do have a choice. Now I'm gonna say shout out to OS1 Sailor Man. He said, dang, you telling me I can't play Call of Duty at 53? Life sucks. And shout out to Afro Mercy who said, no, Roger have said before, that's his retirement plan. And yeah, I still have that as a retirement plan. One of the things I will be doing once I'm retired, I'm going to be somewhere relaxing and enjoying Call of Duty. I ain't did it in years. Now, maybe the game going to change, but the concept going to stay the same. So maybe it's not Call of Duty that's running the world at that particular time. Maybe it's some other game, but I
Battlefield
definitely will
6
be
is better.
online.
It's Battlefield, Roger.
Battlefield's better. Battlefield's better.
Is better.
Well, unfortunately, I ain't gonna be playing video games for a long time. I might have to actually retire first before I really get to play some. But I'm not saying you can't play a video game.
Hey, Roger, if you need somebody to play with, my gamer tag is Dirty Death Dealer on both platforms. So
I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate
you. Roger, let me step in right here. We said put away childish things. Call of Duty is a grown man's activity.
It is, for sure. I play well to grown. I don't play with nobody but grown men.
Yeah. Hey, in real talk, when I definitely learned about Call of Duty and started playing, they show you real quick that's a grown man's game. That ain't for children. Okay. That game is not for you. Got to be a man in that game. And that's real talk. And shout out to No Placeholder. He says $126 for a ribeye bone in. What's good, Louis? All right, you know that shout out to you, Red Pill Super said that's for you, my brother. That's for you.
Oh yeah, because I showed the videos with the bone-in rib roast that was like $120 some bucks at my store.
Yeah,
I had bought one. I put it in my crock pot with my potatoes, onions, and celery. It was so tender and delicious, and I had it with my Guinness. It was heaven on earth.
I'm gonna say that's a man's meal. Yeah, that's a man's meal right there. Real talk. Now, yeah, manhood is layered, y'all. And see, this is the thing, because a lot of people, I believe, they kind of go out of context about what a childish thing is. It is childish to do any activity that doesn't earn you some money when your life is falling apart. You're thinking in a child's way. If you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your mortgage, you can't pay your car note, you can't pay the light bill, gas bill, whatever, because you spend too much time doing a thing, you are participating in childish things. See, people say video gaming because kids play video games. You associate that with, oh, that's a child's game. What about you when you drink? Yeah, I ain't saying you can't have a beer once in a while. That's on you. But if you out at the bar and you ain't got money to pay the mortgage, are you doing a childish thing or a man's thing? Now, I understand you can't legally drink till you're 21, but think about it. Are you doing a man's thing or a child's thing when you at the bar, but you can't pay the mortgage? What would you like to say?
Oh, you might be an addict. You might be an addict.
That brother right there preaching. You know, you out there smoking weed and you making decisions on whether you need to put gas in your car and pay the rent, but you just got to get high. That's childish. You sitting at the bar watching the Bears, spending up all your money knowing you can't pay your rent, thinking they're gonna win the Super Bowl. That's childish.
Look, we got addicts out here. We got addicts. They need to go to reform. We got addicts out here, man.
And we know it's something wrong with them because they are doing childish things as adults.
I mean, every addict, you can make an argument that they are somehow trapped in a child's position, because when you're an addict, you let stuff go past that need to be done because you are so addicted to this particular thing that you ain't handling your business. So, whatever
Mm-hmm.
you addicted to, if you sleeping with a bunch of women, which you shouldn't be doing, technically, unless you grown, but you sleep with so many women, you can't pay the car note. I mean, it's nice to say you got a bunch of girls, but if you slept with 6 different women and they came and repossessed your car, are you pursuing the man's thing?
But Roger, what if you sleeping with these women and you living with them and they paying for your car?
I mean,
You
that's
definitely
all.
do.
That's
You definitely doing a child's thing because that's what your mama do. You sleep in her house and she pay the bills.
No. You don't. You putting in work. No, you putting in work. You just, they paying for it.
what the thing is. That's going to depend upon what type of range you got on who are these women to you. But if a woman can put you out the home and you have troubles, you're not in a man's position. Because let's
Okay,
keep it real.
fair enough.
There's a lot of men out there. If you have an argument with a woman and she puts you out and you in a bad situation, did you take on a man's responsibility? Because can't no woman put me in a bad situation. As long as I have an able mind and an able body, there's no woman that can put me in a bad situation. That don't exist in my world.
That was part of, matter of fact, that was part of my growth as a man. I realized when I was 31 years old, I got to do something to change my life so I don't be in this kind of position with women. That was part of my growth. That's why I said it took me till my 30s to become a man.
Now see, and that's a lot for a man to even say. It took me to my 30s to become a man. And a lot of people won't even admit something like that because there's no quote unquote universal plan amongst Black America, especially even amongst Black men who are respectable, productive, functional, and believe in Black men's leadership. We don't have a universal plan. That's why these discussions need to happen. And I'm gonna say this: you become a man before you get married. Why? Because you got to be able to take care of yourself. If you have a plan on getting married, you got to take care of somebody else, and you may take care of a bunch of other somebody else's. Because this is when it comes to getting married, y'all. And I've shared this before. This is a man talking to me about marriage. Okay, he say, okay, you live off of your income when you get married. Don't worry about whether she working
Right?
or not. And I'm saying,
Right?
okay, well, why not? He said, because you don't know when she ever gonna go to work. He said you got these expectations in your mind what some woman might do. But let's think about reality. There are women who are going to get pregnant and they will never work another day after they get pregnant. They will find out that they're pregnant after they go so long, they're gonna go on maternity leave. And see, this is the thing, y'all. We think when a woman goes on maternity leave, she eventually going back to work. You have no guarantee that's gonna ever happen. So if you can't take care of everything without her income, you are putting yourself in a bad situation. And as a man, you're not supposed to make decisions that's going to put you in bad situations. Now, the thing is, you don't have to be right all the time. You do not have to be perfect, but you want to think ahead. What if she never goes back to work? There are people who have child after child after child after child, meaning one kid 12, next kid 11, next kid 10, next kid. There's people who do that. That woman may never go back to work. She may get so used to not being at work, she just never go get a job again. She never returns to her old job. Next thing you know, 30 years done went past. The mortgage still got to be paid. Cars still got to be fixed. Clothes still need to be bought. But see, when you're a man, you just figure out how to get it done. And that's why. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's why there's been plenty of men who done went out there and got 2 and 3 jobs to make sure they family straight. Why? Because they in some situations they were counting on her income and she never went back to work. So he didn't put her in a bad situation. He just said, I'm gonna replace the income. It's that simple. That's being a man. You know, I'm gonna say, y'all, it's hard to be a man if you're unwilling to take a loss. Now, let's get into why a man has to be willing to lose. All right. Now, I seen the video not too long ago that displayed it pretty well. If I had more time, I might have dug it up. There was a guy at a store who was talking crazy to a woman. Okay? Another guy showed up and said, "That's my wife." And the guy, compared to the other man, is a little dude. Okay? So, but his whole thing is you can't talk to my wife like that. Now, and it was a black guy that was, the way the video showed, the black guy was the aggressor. It was like I don't know, maybe a white or a Mexican guy. I'm just gonna say white. That may have been the guy who came to defend his wife when he heard his wife getting yelled at. Now, I'm not saying the black guy was wrong. That they didn't give enough context in the video to tell who's wrong. You know, the way I remember it. But the white man said, even though he was a much smaller man, like they get into a fight, there's no reason to believe this white man gonna win. There's no reason to believe he's gonna come out victorious in this situation. This is just a loss. You know, now they start fighting, the video cuts off. So, yo, did he have a way to win? He didn't look good. I'm gonna tell you that. It didn't look good for him. But you a man. You have a wife. You out about in the world and someone starts doing something to your wife. What you gonna do? Are you gonna lose a fight for your wife? Because we like to think about things in a positive way, which I'm not saying is wrong. But somebody lose every time two people go at it. Somebody lose. Now, are you willing to lose a fight for your wife? Knowing how women are. And one of the last things you got to do, one of the last things you want to do is lose a fight in front of your wife. But if you're not willing to take a loss for your wife, what kind of man are you? Think about that. When you be realistic about the world, if you're unwilling to take a loss, you may have to fight somebody you don't want to fight. Or he may be bothering your wife, and then it turns out it was 2, 3, 4. You may not have known at the time. Are you going to take a loss? Now, I'm going to tell you, there was a story about a guy I went to high school with. He was walking with his girlfriend. Now, I'm going to say he had a man moment because he took on a bunch of dudes for his girl. Okay? Now, nice for them that they were high school sweethearts, eventually got married and everything. So technically, he took it on for his wife before he got married. But some people was bothering him. He was far outnumbered. He was by himself. He took the loss. But he kicked it off because he's like, man, y'all ain't finna be talking crazy to my woman. That's what you're not gonna do. Okay, you're not just gonna talk crazy and bother my woman. I don't care if it's a bunch of y'all. We just in it. Now he took that L. He was able to keep his girl, you know what I'm saying? But he was outnumbered, so I can understand why even a high school girl would kind of have some kind of understanding because he was way outnumbered. I ain't gonna even say how many it was against him, but he was way outnumbered. Okay, I ain't talking no 2 to 3. It was way more than that. Okay. Like I said, the gentleman who was in the store, he was taking what seemed to be an obvious loss, but he was like, when the guy had said something to him, he's like, man, you want this? You know what I'm saying? Basically kind of threatening. He was like, and he said something at his home. I don't remember exactly how I said it, but he was like, man, that's my wife. As if I can't discuss this with you or whether I'm willing to fight or not. Nigga, this is my wife. If it's got to be something, it just got to be something. Now, to me, that's what a man gonna do. You will take L's in life for your wife. The thing is, when you take the right ones, you got to learn to take the right ones. But situations come up that you can't necessarily overcome at that particular moment. How can you see yourself as a man but won't take on those challenges? You know, because people want to talk about the glorious stuff of being a man. And there's like I said, there's a lot of dumb information out here about what being a man is. I've heard men who ended up getting rich. Well, see, I was a man because I was able to buy my mama a house. Nigga, that did not make you a man. What that made you was admit that your mama ain't no good. Now, why am I saying that? Because your mom didn't have a husband who was willing to buy her a house. You were talking about your single mama. And she didn't have no husband. And that husband, and because she didn't have no husband, she didn't have no apartment to live in or no house to live in because there was no man to buy it. So you're really telling me how your mama was trash. But you didn't realize that's what you're telling me. I'm not saying it ain't a nice thing if you get rich. to be able to buy your mama a house. That's nice. If you get rich enough, you can buy your mama a house. Cool. But that don't make you no man. You know, it's nice that a son can do that for his parents, but you should have parents. You shouldn't just have a mama. You know, unless your daddy done died in some kind of honorable way, you shouldn't have to do that for just your mama. Okay? I got a brother-in-law, y'all. I told you I got a sister that's a widow. I got a brother-in-law. He died. He bought his family a house. The man took care of all his insurance and stuff like that. Wanted to get more, you know what I'm saying? My sister told me, we don't need so much. His whole thing was like, you never know. You know, unfortunately, he died in a car accident, and boom, he's still from the grave. He able to get them a house. They live in a very nice home, very nice neighborhood, very nice area. Why? Because he was being the man. So we have these crazy ideas about what being a man is. Now I'm saying he was a man before he married her. He took on certain responsibilities because he was a man. I'm a man. I got a wife. I got some kids. Let me make sure I got these things in order. Technically, I'm still young. And that guy, I don't think he never reached his 40s. He never reached his 40s. He was dead before his 40th birthday. And he still took care of them. He didn't do it because he wasn't a man because he got married to my sister. He was a man when he got married to my sister. And because he was a man, he did manly things. Part of manly things that you do is you make sure your wife is good. And you make sure if you have any children, that your kids are good too. That's what men do. It's just one of the things that men do a bunch of different stuff. You know, would you look out for your mama when you're old? Yeah, most men gonna take care of their mama when they old. You know, shout out to Deion Sanders. You know what I'm saying? I did a show on him. But he looking out for his mama. I think his mama did something that was questionable, but he still look after his mama because he got it like that. He has enough money to do that. I'm not saying I wouldn't look out for his mama. A lot of people don't get it when I say my mama's not my responsibility. A lot of people don't get that. And I even remember people trying to come at me for saying something about not taking care of my mama. It's never my responsibility to take care of my mama. My mama's supposed to take care of me. Okay? Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't do something for her. If she get to the point where she can't do for herself, I ain't saying I wouldn't look out for my mama. I would, but that's something she earned based on how great she did looking after me. I'm willing to do it because of certain things she did. And I'm not even saying my mom was the best mom in the world. But she was good enough that I'm willing to do something for her. But I'll never look at her and say, that's my responsibility. That's her husband's responsibility to make sure she's good. Not mine. That's me being nice to my mom. It's not me taking on my responsibility. And a lot of us, we think, well, taking care of my mom is my responsibility. That don't make you a man. That's something her husband was supposed to do. And I'm saying her husband because I don't know what your situation is. Okay? That was something her husband was supposed to do. Shaq bought his mama a house. Remember, Shaq was with the Sarge? But the Sarge was not his dad. The Sarge was his stepdad. He looked out for the Sarge because the Sarge did a lot of great things for him. You know, he looked out for him when he was a kid, but that wasn't his dad. You know, it was just a guy who was married to his mom. But he took on certain responsibility when it came to Shaq. So Shaq didn't mind spending money on him when he got older. But Shaq didn't have a thought process that he should not have had. I ain't going to say he didn't because I believe he did. He shouldn't have had the thought process that he got to take care of his mom because that's not his job. Your mama had a man that she had you with. She should have been married to him. And now she was lucky enough to get somebody else to marry her after the fact. That's dude responsibility. It ain't mine. Now, if I got into the NBA like that too, would I buy my mama a house even if she got married again? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably would because you got so much money at the time. But I would never do it with the thought process that I'm obligated to take care of my mama. And I'm saying that's something that messes up a lot of men because we think we're obligated to take care of people that we don't have nothing to actually do with from an obligation standpoint. Black men got to recognize what charity is versus what responsibility is. Because a lot of y'all do charity and y'all think y'all being responsible. And your charity actually causes you to be irresponsible. Because you sitting there struggling to pay your bills because you're doing charity for a person that you think you're doing responsibility for.
Well, that's the trick of dating and marriage in the black culture that has kept us in poverty. We're supposed to be taking our finances and our knowledge forward, but we've been taught to take it backward as men. Like, hey, when you make it, come and take care of your mother, not get married, have children, and go forward with the knowledge and finances that you've created for your family. We've been taught to look backward, and that's why we're in the position that we're in financially as a people, because we do things backward. Hello?
Yeah, I was talking and I was on mute. I'm glad you said that to make me realize I was on mute. As a man, you have to be able to make a determination on what's charity versus what is responsibility. If I take care of my brother, if I look out for my brother, I'm doing charity. I don't have no brothers as children. I'm doing charity if I look out for my brother. I'll do so much that I feel comfortable with my charity. But because he's not my son, I only have to do so much. See, that's the difference. Now I'm not telling you I have a brother that needs me to help him. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if the situation comes up, my brother can access help from me, but I'm going to give him help from a different range because that's my brother. What I help him with is me giving charity to my brother. And I ain't saying I would have a problem with that, but I'm not his father. Now, my father would do more for my brother than I'm going to do because that's my father's son. I'm not going to outdo my dad when it comes to my brother. That's not even realistic to me, you know? I'm not going to outdo what my father would do because that's his son. It's his responsibility to make sure his child can make it in the world, which my dad has done a great job of because we all can make it in the world. But if we need some help, it ain't like he can't go to my dad. My father's still willing to help us to this day. It ain't like we can't go to him, but he done gave us all the tools to make it in the world. But if my brother needs some help, I'm going to help him different than my father going to help him because that's my father's son. For me, he's charity. For my father, different process, different mental process, because that's his son. And he want to make sure his son can make it no matter what. He going to think about his situation totally different than I'm going to think about it. To me, it's just charity. I'm helping my brother out. You know, he will get more than just a stranger. He'll get more than just an acquaintance because that's my brother. But still, it ain't
Hey,
going to be like my father.
Roger, would you say that becoming a man is linked to a change of mindset?
Yeah, you have to change your mindset. You have to because when let's be realistic. When you're growing up, there's stuff that you don't have to truly consider. So your mindset has to change when you start to accept manhood. You know, a child don't have to think about the lights. You just expect the lights to be on. You know, who of us when we were 17 and down actually thought about lights? I ain't think about lights. I can't
No,
ever say I remember
I
thinking
agree
about
with you.
lights.
Yeah.
So your mindset got to change. Okay. I'm growing up. I just want some toy. Mama, dad, can I have this toy? I'm not thinking about whether the light bill got to be paid or not. It don't even enter my mind. But see, when you do it from a man's perspective, your child asking you for a toy, you consider, can I pay the light bill and get the toy? You know, and depending upon what the toy happens to be, how much it happens to cost, you got to figure all that stuff out. So yeah, your mindset definitely has to change to even become a man. You start thinking about stuff that as a child you would never even fathom you had to think about. You know,
So if you're, let's say you're a 30-year-old, right? And in the world, anyone can look at that man or that person, a 30-year-old, and say that is a man, right? Because of how that person has grown. But based on the mindset, if that man or if that person has a mindset of a child, would you still look at that person as a man?
what
Or how would you look at that person?
I would say this: unless you know a person's situation, you should always have the assumption that it's a man. Point blank. Period. That you should always assume the positive first. Why would you assume negative about a person you don't actually know?
No, no, no. I'm talking about like, let's say you do know that person. Let's say you do know. It's a
What
30-year-old person that you know, and has a mindset of a child.
what what this
Where would you put that person?
what and this is the thing that is different because you're not basing it on age. When you know them, you're basing on who they are. You see what I'm saying? Because a 30-year-old I don't know, I can assume is a man for the most part. Okay, now there may be something very obvious to say this guy's not a man. Maybe something extremely obvious where you wouldn't necessarily say he's adjusted well to manhood. But if you know a person, now let's think about this, y'all. Like I was saying earlier, okay, you know a person. He at the bar, but he can't pay his rent. You know, I'm gonna look at him as irresponsible. Point blank. Period. That's just what I'm gonna do. This
Yeah, but
person's
that doesn't take away from that person being a man just because he can't pay
now,
bills.
but this is no. This is the thing. It's not that he can't pay bills. When you're an alcoholic, you don't do what it takes to pay bills.
Okay, so we're talking about the mindset. So you're choosing your mind. You're choosing a mindset of being unresponsible.
Exactly. It's a difference between not having the ability and not having the will. Because an
Sure. Yeah, I
alcoholic,
agree with you.
yeah, an alcoholic could pay bills. They just rather drink.
They choose not to. Yeah, they choose a different route, which is, yeah, I agree with you. Where I'm trying to see is because someone can come and say, look, a man is an adult human being.
And
So
they would technically be right if they're talking about a male.
exactly, yeah. But isn't okay? Yeah, if you're talking about a male, yeah, I agree with you. But I think some people would agree too that they would say that a man is an adult human being, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't have a problem with that because it's really about the context of what you're saying. But let me say this real quick. Shout out to stepbrother Dryer Repair. He says, "Merry Christmas. Thanks for the good content." And I'm gonna say, shout out to you, brother. I appreciate that. Appreciate that big time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now I'm gonna say this, y'all. I personally, and I don't even recommend it that you ever try to take somebody's manhood from them, because that can end up with a fight or end up in a death. So I'm not gonna try. Plus, I don't like the fact that white men was trying to do it to black men, for the longest of time. And truth be told, a lot of them still trying to do it now. So my thing is, I'm not gonna try to take your manhood from you, but I do have to look at you and say, what kind of man are you? Because if you at the bar and you're not taking care of your bills, are you the type of man I want to be around? Are you the type of man that I think that I would invite to do things that I'm doing? More than likely, no. You're not the
No, of
type of
course
company
not.
I'm gonna want to keep. You
But
know,
you are calling that person a man, though.
what that's what I'm saying. But it's about the context. You can technically be a man by biology,
Okay, so the
but
question that you're asking, like, when did you know you
man,
became a man, or how did you become a man? It's kind of like a,
that's
any
no.
any adult human
It's
being is a
no.
man.
No, the thing is, I'm asking a question that doesn't include biology. That the question I'm asking don't include biology. This ain't got nothing to do with you being a male and having an 18th birthday. I'm asking a question of when you truly accepted. Oh, okay. Now that I'm looking back on my life, I see where I really became a man. That's not a biological question. If all you
That's
have
a
is
mindset.
biology, No, hear what I'm saying. If all you got is biology, how we gonna look at you? You know, if the only thing you can say I became a man because I was 18 years old and I'm a male, how you think other men gonna look at you?
Yeah. Because
So
if we're looking at behavior, if we're looking at behavior or mindset, um, I mean, then I think we're talking about the same thing, but in a way almost like we're talking about two different things. Because if you look at scripture in Genesis, when God said, "Let us create man," and Adam was formed and created, we don't know his mindset. We don't know like his way of thinking. Like it was later on that he was giving responsibility. Now, are we going to say that before he was giving the responsibility or the responsibilities to take care of the world, take care of the garden and the animals and all of that? Are we going to say that before he was giving the his responsibilities that he was not a man? Because we don't really know his mindset, we don't really know much about Adam,
I,
but we do
I'm gonna
know
say,
that God created man and Adam was a man.
well,
So
I'm gonna disagree with you.
okay,
I'm gonna say we can't fully understand his mindset. When God made him, guess who was Adam's teacher when God made him? Who was Adam's teacher?
God.
So his mindset was beyond ours.
Yes.
Anything he needed to know to be a suitable man before Eve was formed, he already had it. We can say we don't know exactly what it is, but if God is your literal teacher, ain't nowhere in the world none of us learn more than what Adam did before Eve was created. You can't believe in the Bible and understand God is Adam's teacher and have a question on what Adam's mindset was. It was better than ours. That's for sure.
No, I agree with you. I'm just I'm just bringing these points just for the conversation.
No, and that's fine. I'm not saying you're doing a bad thing, but and for conversation purposes, it's always good for some of us to do that. I do some of that myself sometimes, but I'm gonna have to say, yeah, his mindset was definitely better than ours. You got the creator of all things teaching you how to be a man. You can't. I can't outman Adam when he had the creator of all things telling him how to be one. I
So
can't outman that.
in that case, would you say that, let's say, a person who is a 30-year-old and has been has grown to be a godly person, would you say that man, that 30-year-old that has grown to be a godly man, is a
Not
man?
necessarily, not necessarily, because that's a religious conversation. There's people who don't even believe God exists. Okay, so that now from a religious perspective, you can have that conversation. But on a perspective like this, where everybody's welcome, regardless of religion, no, I'm not gonna say your religious perspective makes you a man. Your religious perspective could help you become a man because different religions teach different things about how to handle things. But there can be an agreed upon thing even amongst different religions that a man, if you are a man, you would do certain things based on this scenario, such as having a wife and kids.
Right,
If you
right.
are a man, you will take care of them. They don't make you a man, but that's just something men do. Men take care of their wives and their children. We can agree upon that regardless of a religious belief. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So I'm not saying you wrong, but I'm saying is I ain't making it about one religion.
yeah.
Most men, regardless of religious background, can agree that if you are a man, if you happen to be married, and if you happen to have children, you are willing to take care of them. I don't believe there's any religion on earth that promotes that a man doesn't have to do that. I don't believe that religion exists. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there is, but I'm not aware of it at this particular time. Okay, maybe sadism or something like that. If you devil worship, maybe you don't have to take your wife and kids. Even if you have a wife in that type of religion, but I don't actually know. I ain't never studied to know it. But I would suspect you ain't got to take care of wife and children in that type of religion. But I think most religions would agree that any man would take care of his wife and children. So at the end of the day, manhood is about accepting certain things. But my point is, you accept these things before you get married. Okay.
Sure. My statement wasn't to say that you are only a man when you
No.
become
I
right.
know you weren't
Okay.
doing that, but there's a lot of people who have that as a real belief.
Right. I understand that.
And I
Yeah.
definitely want to help break that mindset and
Yeah.
allow
That
other
is
men.
nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nonsensical. Yeah.
And I want other men equipped that when they have a conversation with other men, that they can also break that mindset. Because it is a shame for someone to get married that is not a man. And it is a shame for a female to marry a guy who is not a man. And I'm going to say she clearly wasn't a woman, because a woman would want a man. So you can't get
Yeah.
married to somebody who's not a man and you be a woman. That don't work either. You know.
Yeah. In that case, understanding what you're saying, I will. Yeah. I would go back into my statement and change it, because yeah, I understand what you're saying now. That my mindset, I had a mindset of a man, and that is why I made the decision to get married and have children, and take care of
Bingo.
my
Yeah, you're already willing to
Bingo.
take on those
yeah.
responsibilities. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you broke it down in a way that now I could go back to my statement and say, okay, that statement is not, it's not completely correct. um, but there's certain responsibilities that you take. Of course, we all know that you take as a husband, as a father. um, that are those responsibilities are manly responsibilities. So I guess you are, yeah,
Yeah.
you
And
changed
that's why I
my
say
thinking.
manhood is something you must accept.
Except, yeah,
It's not a thing that you grow up and you just be. No, you have to accept certain things when it comes to being a man. Okay. Now, shout
100%
out
agree.
to Drex99. He says you become a man when you learn to live without women. And I'm gonna say that's true, because you're supposed to be becoming a man before women are even significant to you. You should already be learning the lessons of how to be a man before women are really even significant to you. I was learning things about manhood before I even liked girls. You know, work ethic for an example. Okay, I wasn't 12-year old just learning to work. I think I got chores when I was like maybe 9 years old. I already had chores. Okay, wasn't I ain't saying it was a lot, but they were already teaching me you got to have responsibility. When you got it in the world, you have to take care of yourself. When I was complaining about washing dishes, my mama told me, "How you gonna take care of yourself in the world if you don't even know how to wash dishes?" Now, as a young kid, how am I argue with that? Ain't no way to. I can't really argue that. I don't even remember if dishwashers even existed back then. You know, they may have, but probably wasn't really out there if they did exist at that particular point. But I ain't know nothing about no dishwasher. You know what I'm saying? I doubt my mama knew something about it, but we talking about decades ago at this point, y'all. So dishwasher may not even exist. How am I gonna take care of myself as a man and I can't even wash dishes? You know, and I'm not saying I was planning to wash dishes. You know, I expected to be married. Somebody was gonna help with that or whatever the case is. But if I can't wash them, I'm screwed. It just is what it is. But I'm gonna slow down right now because we got no placeholder who done came up, and I'm gonna go ahead and give him the mic. No placeholder, you got it, my brother.
What's going on, Roger? What's going on, panel?
Hey, I want to say shout out to Floyd real quick. He said 8 for me. He was getting yours at 8. Go ahead, though, brother. Go ahead.
yeah, I've been listening to the show, Roger. It's been a very good show. I do want to come in and reinforce your point, because I told you the story of how I got married. It was someone saw me living my life and said that they want to refer their granddaughter to me. So yeah, it wasn't a scenario of me getting married and suddenly realizing. Because I mean, think of the logic behind that, Roger. Think of being unprepared for something, not having the skills, not having a foundation, and then assuming that simply by interacting with a female in a marriage you're suddenly going to learn how to be. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's not going to happen. If that was the case, we wouldn't have 80, 90% divorce rate. You know what I'm saying? Because just simply by being a woman and marrying a man, if you were marrying a man, you would have made him a man, and everything would have worked out, right? But no, you see that 90%, like 80, 90% of the time, they leave whatever they're in. So it's like the marriage itself does not make you a man. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. And to you. You know what I'm saying? So and to answer your second point about your parents and how they should approach the situation in terms of depending on you and that story you mentioned about buying your parents a home. I've gone on to become quite successful, Roger, in my life, and I've helped out my parents. And just yesterday, I'm talking out to my mom, and she telling me that she found 3 or 4 checks that I wrote to her in 2011, 2010. Not good anymore. So I'm trying to say, like, so I agree with your point. I'm saying I sent those money to her. She didn't even use it to the point that basically sat down there to the point of the check basically is no longer even valid. So I'm saying, so it's like that's what happens when you have parents instead of a, you know what I'm saying, instead of a mom. It's like she could forget about you as basically being a source of anything more than just basically her child. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, so yeah, I'll land right there, Roger. Thank you.
Okay. And I do want to get this point in, and I'm glad you said that to bring me back to it. There's a lot of things, a lot of people who will talk about being the man, and all they talk about is doing stuff for people. Doing stuff for people don't make you a man. It could make you a sucker, that's for sure. It can get you abused. It can do a whole lot for you, but making you a man ain't necessarily gonna be it. You know, and I'm saying this because I mean we even hear people talk about men and women, and we say women are human beings and men are human doings. Yeah, you do a lot as a man, but you got to understand who are you doing something for, why are you doing something for them, and why does it even make sense in the first place, and why should I be doing anything for someone other than myself? Okay, see, look, everything about me, because I'm me. Okay, now if you have religious context, okay, everything's about your God, then you. All right. When I look at a woman, okay, well then everything about the God, then me, then the woman, because she's an attachment to me. Okay, I'm the center of her story. Okay,
Yep.
the only thing she can put before me is God. Anything other than that, I ain't trying to hear it. You know, if I marry a woman, you can't even put your daddy in front of me. Just is what it is. Okay, so you got to have a certain mindset. I know what I'm doing. I'm allowing you to be a part of my life. And a lot of men don't get this. I allow a woman to be a part of my life. I don't become a part of hers. Now, does that mean I'm not going to meet her relatives or something like that? No. All that stuff will happen over time. But the job is for her to be a part of my life. That is the actual job. If you want to be my wife, you have to become a part of my life. I don't necessarily become a part of yours. I don't know what you're doing at the time. I don't necessarily even care about what you're doing. What you're doing may have to change just because you're going to become a part of my life. You may not even be allowed to do what you was doing before I met you. If I have enough grace to give you a chance to be a part of my life, and I'm talking about any woman above the age of 22 years old, if I have enough grace to let you be a part of my life, and I'm saying grace because men, we take care of women, they generally do not take care of us. So I'm the one giving you grace. The same way God gives me grace. Because I can't do nothing without him. You can't be a part of my life unless I sign off on it. So you really can't do nothing in that context without me. I'm giving you grace if you're above the age of 22, because you're supposed to already be married at that point. So I'm giving you grace in the first place. Now, this makes things a little bit more different with me than a lot of other people, because a lot of women aren't used to a black man that understands I'm giving her grace. But I'm going to make you understand it too. You can't talk to me at 25, 27, 31 and 33 like you somebody and you all that to me, because you've already failed in my eyes. You supposed to be married and you still left on the market because you wasn't good enough. It's that simple to me. So the last thing I'm going to do is let a failed woman tell me how to be a man. That sounds stupid. I'm just gonna keep it real. For me, it sounds ridiculous for a failed woman to tell me how to be a man. Okay. If I really want to take it there, if I have to have a talk with her dad, bro, how you let your daughter fail to the point that she not married? Because if he's trying to get out of pocket, only if he gets out of pocket. If he gets out of pocket addressing me about what I'm supposed to be bro, your daughter ain't even married. What? Don't get out of pocket with me, bro. At least tell me what you taught her so I can find out what she went against that she didn't make it. Okay? And there is a reasonable thing that we don't really teach daughters enough about being wives. I know men want to depend on women to do it. They not going to do it, y'all. If you want your daughter to be a wife, you're going to have to get in there. I'm just telling you the real. Leaving it up to a woman is not the best move to make. I'm just
Wait, say
saying.
that again, Roger. You're saying that a daughter. What? Say that again. I'm sorry.
If you want your daughter to be a wife, if you want her to be a wife one day when she grows up, do not leave it up to her mom.
Here, here.
That's what I'm saying. If you leave it up to her mom, she probably won't get married. Women interpret things in their own direction sometimes.
I don't know about that. I would have some pushback on that, and that's me because of my story. That's me because of my experience. In general, if you talk about in general, I can possibly agree with you, but when it comes to me and my family, um, to teach our daughter, I have a daughter. She's 3 right now. I mean, she's still little, but to teach my daughter how to become a wife, I think the best person to teach her would be my wife. It wouldn't be me because I'm not a wife. I'm a husband, right?
But you're the guy. But you're the guy that's gonna choose her, right?
What's that?
You're the guy that's gonna choose her, right?
I'm the guy who's gonna
I'm not.
choose her.
Yes, just like how you chose your wife, she has to find a guy just like you to choose her, right?
Right.
Do you know what you want?
Hey, I'm sorry. Can you say that again? You chopping it up.
I'm sorry. I said you have to. She has to get a guide to choose her just like you. And I'm asking, do you know what you want?
Do I know what I want? I know what I want. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so if the guy that she's gonna choose that's just like you, are you gonna assume that he's gonna want the same thing that you want?
I don't know if I understand the
He
question.
said, take yourself into the future. She's 22 years old at this particular point. A guy she meets that would be something very similar to you, who knows what he wants. Okay. He got to have a reason to pick her.
Yes, absolutely.
So how
Okay,
is
so
he going to have the?
yeah.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. No place.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
No, land. You're doing a fine job, land. Go ahead.
How is the guy going to come to the conclusion that he should pick your 22-year-old daughter now? Your daughter 22 at this point. How is he going to come to that conclusion that she the one to pick if you don't really have much to do with who she is when she's 22?
I mean, of course, he has come to me.
No. He's going to make a choice about her before he even think about you. Before he wants to choose her, he got to have the desire to choose her. How is he going to come to the conclusion that she's a good person to choose if you don't have a whole lot to do with her becoming a wife?
That's a good question.
And that's what I'm going to say. Any man who leaves it up to his wife to teach his daughter to be a wife, you setting yourself up for trouble. And I'm going to say shout out to Jay Bones. Thank you very much for the super sticker, my brother. Appreciate you big time. Appreciate you big time.
Indeed.
Now, let me make some sense of this for you. Let me make some sense of this for you. Okay.
Right.
And it's, you know what I'm saying? It's a bad idea to leave it up to your wife to help your daughter become a wife. Okay.
I disagree with that, but that's just me.
And I totally understand because it's a foreign concept, especially to most black households.
Now, if you told me like if my wife was a person who was very similar to the women in the world, then I would agree with you. But my wife is very different. I mean, we got married as virgins, both of us. My wife she is a stay-home mom. She takes care of the home. She takes care of the children. She
Yeah.
homeschools. I'm the provider, the protector. So I think my
Mhm.
wife would be the best one.
How are you going to guarantee
Suitable
that for
for
your
me. What's that?
daughter?
Well,
You broke up.
he broke up, but
You know,
but before you go there, no placeholder.
all
Because
your wife
well, hold on, no placeholder before you go there.
did
Because
was
my thing is, I don't want to make it.
literally
I don't
just.
want to. Oh, he's not hearing us. He's breaking up. No
Mhm.
placeholder. If you can hear, I don't want to make it personal because that's about his wife, and I ain't finna talk about his wife. So I don't want to make it personal. What I'm gonna say is some things that men need to learn and accept so we can have a better life. Okay? Who defines what a woman is? I'm asking you, FOG. Who defines what a woman is?
Who defines it?
Who defines what a woman is?
Can you hear me, Roger?
We hear you right this second. You was going in and out.
I mean,
Okay,
God defines.
thank you.
That
Or
information was given to men define what a woman is. Men define what a woman is. So you, as a man, have to make sure your daughter is good enough to be a wife. Because we make the
No,
decision on what
I,
women are. We make the decision on who's acceptable, who is not acceptable. This is all us. A woman cannot define what a woman is because she's not the leader. She has to accept what the leaders say.
yeah,
If
but
she
I thought we were talking
Roger,
about
can I make
teaching,
a quick
right?
point, Roger?
go,
I thought
go ahead, no placeholder.
I thought we were talking about teaching my daughter to
Yeah, that's
become
what.
a wife.
No,
Yes,
we are.
and I want
We are, but
and I
I'm
want to add
Okay.
to that, you Roger. Yeah, I want to add to that as well too, because what we do is that we take the results of patriarchy and we often ascribe it to women, and then what we do is that we don't do a synopsis and say, look at how they react with lack of patriarchy, and then we don't say that. Look at how they react with lack of patriarchy. Women don't teach women to do anything. You see, you see what I'm saying? The woman you have is a result of a patriarchal world that held her in a certain way. I'm talking about any man who gets a virgin wife. You see? And that is a result of the men in that world setting rigid standards and disregarding the female desires or whatever she thinks is a valid input. This is what we want you to do. You get what I'm saying? So it's like that's basically the point I was trying to make. I'm not saying that essentially that women can't teach women how to do things like watch the children properly and learn how to manage a schedule properly and da 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 da. I'm saying, but the concept of women becoming marriageable is a result of men basically. I'm saying holding the reins and produce the outcome. That's basically what I'm saying.
and I'm gonna say, well, shout out to Great Black Reset who caught it right away. He said men define women, and that's true. And this is the thing: men are the leaders, so we define what is good enough and what ain't good enough. If women could make themselves good enough, we now have a society amongst Black America where now the quote unquote experiment of what happens when a bunch of women raise the children on their own, we see it now. Women clearly don't know how to turn a girl into a wife. That's clear. Okay. Anybody who can't see that is just stupid at this point. It's clear women cannot make a girl into a wife. You know, she's gonna grow up and become an adult woman if she don't die. But clearly they can't figure out how to turn a girl into a wife. That's clear at this point. Anybody who can't see that is just stupid. And you know, if you just choosing to be stupid, I can't help you with that. You got to make a different choice to accept intelligence at some particular point. Now, when it comes to a father, okay, who is a leader of the community, he's the one that's going to input to his daughter how to be a wife, because she is going to get her expectations of what I should or shouldn't do when it comes to men based on what he teaches her. Mama gonna teach her some stuff, true. But daddy the one that wanted a wife. Daddy the one that picked mama. Daddy had his reasons for picking mama. Mama was either good enough for daddy to pick or mama wasn't good enough for daddy to pick. So guess what? When she grow up, she need her daddy to tell her what I'm supposed to be so a man to pick me.
I agree, Roger, because I want to add an additional point very quickly, because the reason for me marrying my wife will not be the reasons why my son get married in 20 years. I'm saying, like Roger talked to you about looking for black women, waiting for black women, being programmed to search for black women. That is why my wife basically was able to get the outcome she got. I literally basically kept refusing alternatives until I got to it. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that I'm not going to expect that to be the same for my daughter. She's going to have to compete right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that she have to be competing very early. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So I understand that. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to even, all the stuff that my wife thinks she's going to tell my daughter, that shit is obsolete. You're saying obsolete, because she doesn't even understand what the environment is. She thinks that basically she's going to get married the same way that she got married. That's not how it works. That's basically my.
Now, a wife can teach a daughter how to do a lot of things that a man is going to be looking for. Like, you can teach her to clean the house. Sure. She's going to need to know that stuff. We all need to know that stuff, because if we become adults and live on our own, we got to learn to take care of ourselves at the end of it. So I'm not saying wife is not going to have any part in it. But at the end of the day, that girl needs a man to teach her how to get picked. And mamas don't really know that. Mamas have ideas, but they don't really know. And when you've seen a bunch of women raise kids without men, they do not teach those girls how to be wives. That's why you can look at actual numbers and see that women raised by their mama usually don't get married. And people can be mad about that being said, but that's why we got about 75% of black women. It ain't exact 75%, but almost 75% of black women ain't married right now. It is what it is, man. If women knew how to turn a girl into a wife, that would not be the case. It is what it is. So I'm gonna say it again. As a man, if you leave it up to your wife for your daughter to be taught how to be a wife, you making a grave mistake. I am not telling you disrespect your wife. I'm just saying you got to be involved so your daughter will have a man that is worthy to pick her. It's that simple.
I agree. I agree, Roger, because once again, I'm going to go into my own personal experience in my life. I have 5 sisters. I'm saying, and my mom was got into a traditional marriage, and my dad just worked and did the things that we expect, because we're Jamaicans and that's what we do. But my mom taught my sisters how to be a you go girl. You know what I'm saying? So before you know it, even though my dad was working and doing his things, his daughters were not being put in the same position as his own wife, because she was not teaching them how to do none of those things, because they look at it as condescending. They look at it as basically demeaning. You saying, like, for example, not to basically be any personal attack, but for example, you were a virgin and your wife is a virgin. If you are in America and you're sending your children to school, it's going to be a difficult task for you to basically facilitate that same outcome for your daughter. You saying? I know that as well too. So what I'm saying, that based on what I've seen already, the women are, I don't know what to tell you. They're just not good teachers. And one of the reasons why I understand that is that you give them freedom, they just abuse it in a way that is not beneficial to the overall group. I'm saying, so like, having a father or a patriarchal system that tells women this is your job and do it well, and then basically put practices in place that as she's growing older and older, she get more practice at the job and gain the skills to be able to facilitate that job at a certain level of success. You know, saying that is a result of what I'm saying. That is so it's not really like her herself basically, you know, saying, doing these things. This is her in a system, and she has a role in the system, and as a result of that, she gets outcomes. Yeah,
All
go
right,
ahead,
now I gotta throw in here too, y'all. Stop reducing yourselves to being women. Men are not virgins. You don't have a hymen, okay? No one's gonna break your hymen, okay? Men were never virgins. There are men who've had sex before. There's men who haven't had sex. Virgins are females who've never engaged in sex. That's what a virgin literally is by definition. You're not a woman.
Yep.
Okay. Now I understand over time, and especially, we got to be careful about language because language does create barriers over time too. Okay. Because
But
there's
Roger, you
even
do
language
understand what
issues about
I?
what a date. No. I just must understood. I understood what you were saying, but I'm
Okay.
telling you, there's something that you should not be saying. You should never say you were a virgin because you were never a female. I get you were saying I was a guy that didn't have
Sure,
sex
but
beforehand.
for context purposes, for people to understand what I'm trying to say, when we got married, she was my first, I was her first.
Now,
That is
which is absolutely fine to say, but because we're men and we have to protect language and we have to protect other boys and other men, you were never a virgin. You're never going to be a virgin. You're never going to have a son that's a virgin. We're not women, and we're not going to reduce ourselves to women. Yeah, that's
Um,
all I'm saying. Okay. No.
can you guys hear my mic?
Yeah. We you said, can we hear you? We hear you.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll come in when you get done with your statement. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I'm just gonna read this, and I'm pretty much done with that. Shout out to Steph Brother Dryer Repair. He said, "Boy Hyman is a." Ah!
Nah, that's
He-
even that is basically a no
this
no.
is a joke,
I don't
y'all.
know. Yeah,
Well, let me
yeah.
read it.
Hold on, hold on.
Let me read it because he sent the
Hold
super chat. But I'm saying, y'all, this was a joke. He said, "Boy Hyman is on the backside," and he's saying that jokingly. Okay.
Oh, okay. I hope that your brother is saying that as a joke because I was like, you could like actually
Yeah,
that I don't even play those kind of jokes. So I don't play
no,
those kind of jokes, bro.
no, to
It's
gauge in
talking
that
about
one.
basically sodomizing young boys. Go ahead.
Um, um, two things. Because so much time passed. One, I had a cousin. I have a cousin that her mother was married when she raised her, but she did not raise her to be a wife. She raised her to be independent, which that's what she is, and by society standard, successful woman. She came to me a few years ago desiring to get married, and she was dating a guy. I gave her some advice to follow. A few months later, she was engaged to be married. So that's the example of men can teach women how to be wives. You can teach your girls how to be wives. They can learn, but they need to learn from a man at some point what it is that men desire. And two, FOG, even in the Bible tells you that a virgin is a woman that's never been married, and that's how it describes it. That it's a woman. So he is absolutely 100% correct. Men are never were and are never virgins.
no, I'm not against what he said. I can agree with that. Yeah, I've never said anything that was against that.
No,
No,
no, it's not that
no,
you said you're against it.
we understood the context. We're not offended by it, but he's saying that we as men need to be careful with our words because these words become weapons against us later on by women, and we're just correcting the language. That's it.
Words have power, period. And
No, I agree with that.
as a man, do you respect how you wield your power? Because
Yeah.
your words are you wielding power. Should we pay attention to how we wield our power? You know, words
I agree, Roger.
words are powerful. You tell a boy
Yes,
that he
indeed.
ain't gonna never be nothing. You know what I'm saying? His whole life, a lot of them never become anything. Now, if you
Correct.
tell your boy he the greatest thing since sliced bread, a lot of them gonna quote unquote overachieve based on expectations of others. Words
Yeah.
have power. I know people don't want to acknowledge that, but words definitely have power. Trust me. Call me a nigga and see how much power come with that. You see what I'm saying?
Hey,
Hey,
Roger,
hey, hey,
can I just?
right.
Oh, go ahead. I was just
Sorry,
gonna
sorry.
point out something from Scripture in Titus that is asking or is I guess you can say is asking for the older women to teach the younger women, and it's in Titus 2, where it says that they, it's talking about the women or the older women, that they will teach the young women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, to be homemakers, good and obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God may not be blasphemed. So
That's,
it's
that
saying
actually
here in
sounds.
scripture that
Teach
older
them.
women teach the younger women.
No, it's saying what they
Oh,
should do.
hold on, Roger. Yeah, but
I don't.
even what he just said, what he said aligns with exactly what you're saying. They're teaching them things that are essentially around the actual scope of being a woman in marriage, which is advantageous from an experienced woman.
Yeah,
It is. It's saying so. What I'm saying that is you're saying that's very different because what I'm saying is that I would agree with Rogers that it is the patriarchy that produced marriageable women. The women that also exist in that patriarchy that are older can provide unique insight to those younger women. So
This is
I
also
want us
talking
to
about
basically.
mothers.
and hold on too, because my thing is this: you got everything. You got to look at everything from proper context. A woman should be teaching a daughter certain things. Where is these things coming from? What program is the woman on when she's teaching these girls things? She's on her husband's program. So
I
guess what?
agree.
She's taking what the man has given her and she's giving that to her daughter. And when it's speaking right there, they're talking in the context of a society with a bunch of married women. It's not talking about a bunch of women who simply had a child and got
But,
no
but Ro-
husband.
okay, but Roger, I am married. So are we talking about we're both married? So we're talking about that or not?
No, no, no,
Because
no. This is the thing. This is the thing. Your wife will teach some of the things that you have given to your wife to teach. You may not even realize what you've given to your wife. Most men do not realize how much information they gave their wife to teach. But she's going to teach from your perspective that you agree with if she's a good wife, because I'm assuming she's a good wife. So
but
she's going
still,
to teach your daughter things from your perspective and how you want your family to go into the future. She's not
I
going to just
agree,
teach
but
her
she's
own
still
ideas.
teaching though. She's still the
I,
one
I,
who's doing
I
the
didn't say,
teaching.
I never said a woman doesn't teach. I said if you want your daughter to be a wife, you have to be involved. That's what I said. Doesn't mean your wife is off the hook for teaching anything. I didn't say your wife get a
Well,
free
yeah,
ride. I said if you want your daughter to be a wife, you have to be involved.
Yes, as a
yes.
matter of fact, you
Okay,
have to
I
set the
understand what
program.
you're saying now. Yeah, yeah. Okay, but
Yeah, you.
who does the teaching though? I know that the all of the information may come from me,
If you want her to be
the
a
man.
wife, there'll be many things that you're gonna have to teach yourself. Because your daughter ain't gonna even accept it from her mama.
Sure, yeah, because her mom doesn't understand a lot of things that belongs to the man. A
No,
lot of the what do you call the
no, it's not even just understanding. She just ain't you.
yeah, yeah, sure,
She what how great no matter how great your wife is, she ain't you. And
sure, yeah.
and God has done something where even amongst human beings, every child is seeking their father's approval. Your wife just ain't you. It's nothing against your wife,
And,
but she's not you.
I agree with that
and, and, and,
100%.
and can
But
I also
who's
call out?
uh,
And I'm
I
saying
just
in
want
the
to ask.
context of this conversation, as men, our responsibility is to make sure our children need the thing will get the things that they need. That's what we're supposed to do as men. So I know if I have a daughter, I got to teach my daughter how to be a wife where a man as good or hopefully even better than me will choose her. If I don't teach her that and she don't get married, I can't look at my wife and say my wife failed, because guess what? Everything under your household comes back to you. I can't look at my wife and say my wife failed. No, I failed. I got to make the correction. So my daughter can be okay. I got to make that correction because that's me at the end of the day. That's part of being a man and taking on responsibility.
Yep, I
Roger,
was just gonna say.
you made
What? All of this goes back to a man needs to be comfortable with the level of responsibility that he has to accept in his life for himself and others. You are not going to escape the responsibility of how your children end up in life. I don't care how wonderful your wife is. Still your
Thank you, Callis. Thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
Callis. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, because the whole point I'm trying to get across is that these same single moms are the ones teaching the daughters right now. You know what I'm saying? Compassion is making my point.
Well,
The
well,
whole
let's
idea
read
is
it.
that you have to have this. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Let's read it for the people just listening. Shout out to Compassion and Callous. He says men design the curriculum, women transmit said curriculum. That's what a teacher is. Shout out to you, Compassionate.
Exactly, and even now, Roger, the single mom are transmitting the curriculum written by the system and the corporation and the white supremacists, and what are they doing? They transition that to the children. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? So the whole idea of trying to make it seem as though, and what I'm trying to say, Roger, is like, I don't know what it is that it's like we want to put this thing together where we want to like over appreciate women for being a cog. That's basically, I don't know what it is, Roger. You saying,
What
and they really are cog. You saying,
what
it's
what
like
what
I
is
don't know what it is that you saying. What I mean by cog, Roger, is like not unimportant, but you understand. I'm saying you and I watch Star Wars, and that Death Star is pretty much the size of a small moon. Do you remember? And how did they break it? They destroyed it. A simple hole in it. So I'm not saying that any cog is not important, but it is a cog. You know what I'm saying? But anyhow, it's like
no,
we want
I
to.
totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. And I'm gonna say when it comes down to it, you're the man, everything comes back to you. And we said earlier, part of being a man is accepting responsibility. So if your daughter don't grow up to become a wife, you got to figure out what you need to fix in that situation so she can become one. It's not that we can't fix it. Okay, it's the thing is we are now, what I'm saying, if the overall black community, not even just the part I belong to, but the overall black community, we don't really have these conversations anymore, which is why I came to start doing them, because I didn't see where people were having these conversations. And it's a lot of important stuff that we just put on the back burner and we just expect for it to just happen in cruise control. Stuff ain't going on in cruise control. If it went in on, if all the positive things came out of cruise control, things would not look the way they think right, or the way they look right now. So I'm putting it back out there so it can get into people's conscious, and then if you get into their conscious enough, it'll get into their subconscious. And since since your subconscious will rule you, corrections will start to be made once it's in the subconscious. But I got to get it in the conscious so it can seep into the subconscious. So then the corrections will be made. And shout out to Elder Blood. He says God taught Eve explicitly how to be a wife and obey his laws, and her husband commands long before he gave her to Adam. The father raised proper wives. I'm gonna say, hey, good one, good one, because God communed with them until they ate from that fruit. Okay, that's when everything went down. But before then, they was able to communicate. Okay, so at the end of the day, as a man, you have to accept the responsibility of what goes on on your household. And this is why a lot of people do have a problem with some of the things I say, because I'm all for putting stuff on the man. But if the man ain't there, you can't blame him and he not there. So when it comes to stuff I say, and then people are like, well, you talking about the single mothers and you being hard on say, no, I'm talking about the person in charge. That happens to be a woman. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I didn't tell no woman to have kids on her own, but she the person in charge. I know the kids ain't in charge. I know that. I can't talk to the kids about how they're being raised. I got to talk to the person that's in charge. Who's in charge? Who do the children answer to? Well, if they answer to mama, then it's on her. If you don't want me to blame mama, then dad need to be there. They need to go from wherever they are and go to dad and be under his roof. If you want me to talk to some dad about what he's doing wrong, they got to be under dad's roof. Because if you're not under dad's roof, you're in rebellion. And the thing is, y'all, we're talking about manhood. As a man, think about this realistically. If I come to your house and you a man, and I start blaming all this stuff on your woman, what you gonna do as a man? Just think about that. I ain't saying it's got to be a horrible thing, but if I come to your house, I'm at your house, we under your roof, and I start saying a bunch of bad things that's going on in your life, and I blame your wife for all these bad things that's going on, what are you going to do as a man? Are you going to sit there and just let your wife take all the blame?
Hell
Or you
no.
going to step in between and be like, nah, bro, that's on me? Just think about that. So if it's on you, then it's on you. So if your daughter ain't raised to be a wife, who fault is it? Is it your fault or is it your wife's fault?
Yeah,
Think
it's the
about
man's
that.
fault. Absolutely.
What man is gonna sit there and be like, "Nah, you know what? You right. It is my wife's fault." What guy's gonna
No.
do that? See, accepting manhood, we take on comfortable things, and we take on things that ain't so comfortable because we're men. Okay, we put women to the background when stuff hits the fan. It just is what it is. And a smart woman gonna stay in the background long as her husband want her in the background. Now, if somebody say your wife didn't teach your son how to be a husband, are you gonna let them blame your wife for that? Of course you're not. You be like, no, that's my son. That's on me at the end of the day. And I'm saying this stuff because I understand. And I'm gonna say, y'all, there are people in social media who teach this, and this is part of how black men have been taught to be cowards. This is a manifestation of it. Okay, because we have taught to be cowards when it comes to women. We would say
So
women have the responsibility of teaching women how to be women. That is coward talk. I hate to bust your bubble. That's coward talk. The women are supposed to answer to a man. As long as you're the person who's supposed to be answered to, it's on you. So you will never hear me telling anybody that a woman is the final boss when it comes to teaching a girl how to be a woman. That is not going to happen. When that does happen, that means her mom's a failure, or at least she should be a widow. Now, if she's a widow, that's different.
yeah,
Okay.
Roger, I wouldn't say 100%. Like I wouldn't say that my wife is 100% teaching my daughter to be or how to be a wife 100%. Well, I guess I guess if
It's
you're
not
saying
about
I
100.
guess if you're
It's not
saying
about
I guess
100%, bro.
Roger,
Because
I guess if you're saying that what my wife is teaching our daughter is what I'm teaching my wife, and because I'm teaching my wife that I'm also teaching my daughter, not really directly. Is that what you're saying? Like because
yes, you do have indirect teachings that your wife is going to pick up on. But let me make it easy to see. Let's say your wife takes your daughter out, right? Okay, your daughter is 14 years old. Your wife comes back home. She done bought your daughter a bunch of mini skirts. Of course, the boy is gonna look if she wear all this stuff. She bought all this revealing stuff for your daughter to wear to school. Now, if you sit there and let your daughter wear this stuff to school that you know is not going to be good for her, it's not going to have a good reaction, and the only thing it's going to do is have more boys trying to sleep with her than she already would have got anyway, who fault is it that your daughter can dress like a slut at school? Who fault is that?
it's the man's fault.
Because even though the wife had a different idea, you let her go to school in it, right?
Yes.
If you don't tell your wife this is a problem and that my daughter can't dress like that, if I come, I'm supposed to blame your wife instead of you.
No, no. You're
So then
supposed to
it's on you at
blame.
the end of the day.
I
That thing,
understand the responsibility that falls on the man. I understand.
No, no.
Okay,
But
but
think about what I'm saying. Your wife took your daughter to buy clothes that are inappropriate. She came home. She put the clothes on at some point, and she left the house dressed like that. I'm not even saying you saw the clothes. You may not see the clothes until after you come home from work, and she just still got the clothes on. at some point in time, you're going to see how she's dressed. If you don't say nothing about how she's dressed, even though mom had a different idea, I'm supposed to look at the mom. I'm the outsider now. I'm just looking at this family. I'm supposed to look at your family, see how your daughter dressed. She in pictures with you, or I just had me walking down the street, y'all walking to the car. I see how your daughter dressed. She with you, and I'm supposed to blame her mama for how your daughter's dressed. That don't compute to me. The wife answers to you. I see how your daughter's dressed. I ain't got no words. Well, if I was gonna say something, I wouldn't have no words for your wife. She with you too. They answer to you. You know, you got a job. If a job give you a uniform, that's the uniform. If a daughter can be dressed like a slut in front of her daddy, hey, that's the uniform. It is what it is. Why would I talk to the wife about it? If I wanted to say something about how your daughter's dressed, not saying I would approach a bunch of strangers talking about how their daughter's dressed, but if I was, why would I address the woman and dad is right there? Don't make sense to me. But I got two other gentlemen that have just come up, so let me get them in real quick. Shout out to Black Uru and Tunnel Runner for joining us. Black Uru, you have the floor, my brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Roger. I hope you, gentlemen on the panel, folks in the public chat, and the whistle in the background are doing well. The kind of, maybe this will help to give some perspective of what you all debating. You know, there are three principal, or there are three main positions in any school, right? You have the student, the teacher, and the principal. You know, the person who's there to be taught, the one who's there to be teacher, but then there's the director of the school to ensure that the proper teaching, you know, is being taught. Can kind of analogize a family to that of a school system where you have the student as the children, the teacher is the mother, principal, but then you have the father, who's the principal, is dictating, you know, what's to be taught, how effectively it's being taught, to provide the general direction of how the school is going to go. Now, obviously, you have both the father, you have district superintendent, school board, that sort of thing. But in terms of that school itself, we're looking at it as a household, or analogizing a household or family to a school. In the ideal situation, that's what you have. Student equal child, teacher equal mother, principal equal father. And if you can view it that way, and you can see it effectively operate that way, then I think you can maybe kind of understand how it's probably best that a family should operate. You know, obviously the women are going to spend more time with the children generally when they're younger. So the day-to-day teaching is incumbent upon them. And this is especially true, you know, female to be female, mother to daughter. But in terms of the direction of things, how they're going to go, make sure things are on course, that they fit the mission of the enterprise of that family, that should definitely be the father. The father is also the protector of that family. So because the fathers are going to have to dictate whether ultimately that family survives and thrives and is protected and secured, the primary mission must be dictated by the father in order for that to be achieved most effectively. So the father is the principal of the family when things are going well. So I guess maybe, hopefully, that provides some perspective.
Okay, y'all, hold fast. I hear somebody about to say something. We're gonna give it to tunnel runner. But shout out to no placeholder who sent in a super chat who says "Uru, Uru, Uru." See, the fist pump lets you know that was kind of like a chant. So shout out to no placeholder for that. I'm gonna give it
Yeah,
to tunnel runner. Oh,
sorry
go ahead.
about that.
No, go ahead.
That was
Go
an
ahead, no
auto
placeholder.
correction. That was an auto correction that did that with the you. But yeah, I'm glad you got it, Roger. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm gonna say tunnel runner. I'm gonna let you make an opening statement, but I'm gonna ask that tunnel runner and Black Guru, if y'all will share us whatever you want to share us. When you look back at your life, now you know this is hindsight equaling 2020. Where do you see yourself becoming a man? Or how did you see yourself when you became a man? Okay. So for me, it was 23 when I had the decision to make whether I'm gonna make it on my own or I'm not gonna make it on my own. That was me selling some candy. It ain't glamorous, but that's when decisions had to be made. But I want to know from y'all, where do you see it? And tell them, you can say whatever you're finna say right now, and then let Uru tell his story, and then come back to you so you have time to think about it. You ain't got to rush into it. And if you're ready, that's fine. However you want to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, the man is already responsible for the family, for the wife, for the kids, unless he's been um, sidelined between, because you're always going to be, you're always going to look at your family. If that's your woman, that's your girl. Whatever happens, you're responsible, unless you've been separated, divorced, or society doesn't allow you to operate the way you want to operate. But you are always the one that is responsible, and that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. As long as you're with that woman, with their children, with the family, you are responsible one. That's the burden that we have as men. Unless society separates us from our family, separates us from our um our duties.
Yeah. Appreciate that good word. Now, Black Rule, any thoughts on when or how you realized you became a man?
Uh, well, I mean, there are a number of, I guess, sort of milestone moments. Maybe the first was uh, I graduated high school on a Friday, and the following day, on a Saturday, I was on a Greyhound bus to to a go to the school, the college I would attend. I didn't have a summer vacation at home. I had been selected for this program at this school, and I left all of my friends, all of the festive, all the things that happened that summer. And in hindsight, I look back. My One of my aunts got married that summer. I missed the wedding. Uh, there was another family. I mean, I like I said, I just went from graduating, rah rah, hello, everybody celebrating, everybody partying that weekend. I was on the bus. I was on my way to school in the South. I'd never been there before, and I remember being on the bus and thinking about, wow, you know, it's a Greyhound bus, 1979. I mean, if you've ever ridden on a bus, especially in 1979, going down south, uh, well, you have to maybe be a certain age and have had a certain perspective. And I just remember being on the bus, and I remember thinking, wow, my life is different now. Like really, and I remember all these stops and these little strange towns. If you've ridden a bus over some distance, you know that experience. It was my first time really getting this slice of life of America, really sort of outside of Chicago, outside of the city. And I remember just thinking about all of the things that now I'm going to be solely responsible for myself. And it was also a weird thing too because I had been estranged from my father, and I had um, the night before he kind of attended uh, my high school graduation, which was sort of unexpected and turned into a slight scene between him and my mother. um, and I just remember thinking that, well, all that stuff is behind me now. All this shit is on me. Whatever's going on between, or was not going on between my mother and my father, they had been, uh, their marriage had long since ended before that, but they were going through the ups and downs of, in hindsight, the result of second wave feminism. In hindsight, um, so it was going through all the ups and downs of that, but I was free from that. Finally, I was free from the arguments and your daddy's calling you and not giving me, the phone calls that he, or letters that he has sent to me, or just all kinds of weird stuff you go through when you're in an estranged family situation. And I just remember thinking, on that bus, I'm like, that's no longer a part of what I really have to be concerned about now. Because understand, like I said, I went from graduating, I went to this program, it was a summer program, and then I matriculated into that school afterwards. Now, I did come back to Chicago, uh, but it was very briefly between when I went there, I was there for a summer. I came back to Chicago for about, I don't know, a week or so, and then I went right back. And I never really lived at home again after that. I was a man, essentially, you know, after 18 years old. Not that I didn't spend time home and, stay over, maybe a summer or something like that, but it was never the same after that point. I was separated, and my mother understood that I was separated, and how I was functioning, and how I was preparing myself, and how I was thinking, and how I was talking was I was separated. The proverbial umbilical cord was definitely cut. That that what June 10th or whatever of 8th, excuse me, 12th or whatever, I guess, of 1979. It was cut, and there's a lot of other moments in between, but that's when I would say, because I got down there, I didn't have a lot of money, I didn't know anyone down there. I had to immediately begin to make friends and alliances to some degree, and obviously the young women was an experience. I mean, that was the first time where I really started dealing with different sorts of females from very different sorts of backgrounds, different sorts of backgrounds. Some very economic, much more economically, or economically, socio-economically higher than myself, which was a startling experience for me in 1979. Because I didn't know black folks who owned homes and owned, estates and had trust funds and stuff like that. So that was quite daunting. I didn't know people. I had a friend. His father came. His father came and wrote a check for his whole tuition that year. I remember being shocked by that. I remember being shocked by it. And he was just so cool and casual about it. Here I am, I'm begging for student aid and work study and all this kind of stuff. Bro just came out there, wrote out a check right quick. Here you go, boy. And that was it. Even that experience from the perspective of becoming a man was, this was 1979. That was a shocking experience for me. I had never even known black folks could have that much money at one point in time. And this guy casually wrote that check out and handed it to him like it was nothing.
Hey,
So
I'm gonna
yeah,
say
that was, I guess, my first. Yeah, go ahead.
what? Shout out to that black father. Number one, shout out to that black father. Shout out to Bruce on Wayne. He says hashtag manhood, hashtag Emperor Dessalines, hashtag Young Noble. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. And I'm gonna say, y'all, real talk.
He was
When
a cap. He was a kappa. He was a kappa too. Cool, cool, cool motherfucker, man. Cool. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I'm glad you ended the story with that, because when you started the story saying 1979 going on the Greyhound bus and headed south, I'm sitting there thinking like this bus going in the wrong direction based on what I know.
That's what I thought when I was on the bus. That's what I thought when I was on the bus.
So I'm glad it ended with the guy
Where
writing the
am I
check, because I'm
going?
sitting there like 79
Where am I
south.
going?
Yeah, like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
didn't we as
Like I
black
said,
people
it was
just leave
definitely
the south?
it was definitely an introduction into manhood for me. Folks started talking a little bit different, started looking a little bit different. Folks started, you know, not, it was a weird kind of environment because the South was definitely a different place in 1979. It was definitely, I mean, it's still different today, but it was definitely different in 1979.
It just sounds
You know,
crazy to say I
but
had to
yeah.
go to the South in 79 and then I met people who own stuff. That just sounds crazy in the context that we know about this country
That
history.
was the shocking experience to me. That was the shocking thing to me. That's when I really started to see the difference in class, quote, amongst black people, because I had not really experienced that before prior to that point. Like I said, I had a roommate who had a court that same dude that I mentioned, father paid his tuition. He had a silver Corvette. He had a silver Corvette in 1979.
Shout out to the
This guy was
South.
18 years old.
Yeah. And shout out to him for the Corvette, because I ain't even got a Corvette yet. I ain't got my first Corvette. Maybe one of these days. Shout out to that brother, real talk. Okay, Tunnel Runner, you wasn't ready at the time, and now Black Who done threw all that out there, so now you got to top that with your story on, on when
Put
you,
the pressure on
well,
me.
now I mean you ain't got to top it, but what's you look back into life, what is your ideal of when you became a man,
Well, okay, my father had me
and
working.
how as well, when and how? Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you. My father had me working at the age of 10. At the age of 12, he had me a full butcher on bandsaws cutting meat. So my father always put that into me that, you have to work as a man. There ain't no free lunches, and you gotta God love the child that has his own. So when I went to college, and my father, I was 19 years old, and I'm driving, and my father's trying to show me the way to go somewhere, and he snatched the wheel out of my hands. So I snatched the wheel back because I knew another way. And he kind of looked at me like, "What is it?" But I was going the right way. And so to me, that was a sign that, even though you're my father, you taught me a lot, everything like that, I still have to be my own man, and I have to go to my own course. And, really after that, it was just many processes of just realizing that you got to be responsible for yourself and anybody else that's with you. You are the one that's responsible, and don't look for no help, because ain't no help coming most of the time. And appreciate if you do get some help. But, I guess it was 19, and then just, small other processes. But that's when I kind of like, let my father know that I can handle it. I can get there too.
Okay. Shout out to y'all for dealing with these experiences when y'all were very young guys. Real talk. Shout out to y'all. Like I say, I think I was 23-ish, 22, 23 before I got my first apartment by myself. That's when the manhood thing hit me. Like, it's for real now. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't going back home. I'm just not going back. Even though I ain't had no job, I'm just not going back. So that's when I really kind of faced it full on. Black Rule, shout out to you for no summer vacation, man. I don't even know how to think about that, man. Coming out of high school and no no kicking it at all, just on the bus. Yeah, that's rough. A manhood without a
It
summer
was really
vacation
weird.
sound rough, man.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a good time during that summer, and I made, friends. Some who people I'm still connected to today. So it was a very wonderful uh, summer, but I wasn't home. I wasn't doing, I wasn't with my boys. And I had graduated high school. I mean, if it was supposed to be a summer where I was supposed to really kind of do it up with the homies and the local female talent. That was supposed to be it. And I missed a lot of stuff that they talked about, you know, uh, later. And even some of it years and years after, in hindsight, I missed that summer. And, but the interesting thing was I didn't really, I kind of wish I was there, but it's interesting. I never really felt as though I missed anything. And it was because I guess that summer and what happened after that pretty much dictated the future of my life. So it was, I guess, a worthwhile maybe sacrifice or whatever, given my perspective on what happened after that. Uh, I guess it was a worthwhile investment in my future in hindsight. But obviously, when you're young, you think about in the immediate sense what you think you missed out on. Because there were a couple of girls that I was kind of lining up, for I was kind of big on, I was like, wow, I kind of, but I did okay during that summer in that area as well. So,
So Black
so
Room was
there's
back.
trade off.
You was back in Chicago talking about all that stuff you was gonna do when the summertime hit. Wait, y'all,
When
wait.
I'm back
Wait till
in
this summer.
Chicago, I feel. Yeah,
Oh
it was kind
man.
of. Oh, there was also the first time I had been on an airplane because when I left the program, they paid for me a flight to come back home. Largely because they knew I was coming back. So they said, well, listen, and it was first class too. They paid for a first class flight. So my very first flight was first class. Yeah. Yeah. Now I didn't even know really what first class was really. Uh, but yeah, they paid for a first class flight. I guess it was a bribe. I guess so really make them feel good about coming back. But yeah, it was my first time United flight, O'Hare. You know, in August 1979. Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Kind of
And
spoiled me with flying.
we got Truth Teller coming into the building, y'all. Truth Teller back in his old tricks, but it's all good. But
I
we
haven't
three,
I haven't matured. I haven't matured yet, Roger. That's
we
what it
we 3 hours 13 minutes
is.
in. Yeah.
And I've been listening the whole time. I
Don't,
just decided,
don't feel
it's a
bad,
great
bro.
time.
Just
Don't
gonna
feel
wait.
bad.
True
Black
tell
Room,
True
Black
teller
Room.
finna tell us a story from last week. That's what he finna do. I already know.
Oh, now my man origin story is way better than that one from last week. My man origin story was fire.
Okay, well, we definitely want to hear y'all, and I honestly I do think this is important because young black men we really don't have anywhere near a universal ideal on what being a man is, but I do want people to recognize that basically everybody up here is saying they became a man and it wasn't attached to a woman. You know, the stuff that we had to
No,
accept and realize in life, this stuff is not attached to women at all. And I want
not at
men to
all.
understand that you are a man. It ain't got nothing to do with women. You got to be a man if you're gonna have a woman. That's
Yeah,
just
because
real talk.
if it was about women, no way I'd take that trip right after graduating high school. No way I'd do that.
You wouldn't.
That
Yeah,
worked
no
too
way
hard to
I'd
line
in
up.
Chicago. To come into Chicago in 1979, there's no way I'd take that trip. No way.
All right, with truth teller, you here? Let's hear, my brother. You look back over your life, man. How/when did you become
Uh,
a man?
I became a man. Well, I'm gonna have to give my preemptive explanation. So, um, I had fun as a youngster. I got in trouble in high school. I had to move to Florida a couple of times. So I was getting in trouble in New York. Got past all of that. I was good. I got accepted into school, went to college, got out of college, worked a couple jobs, but I got my banger job. I got my banger job in 2002. And it was for Bell South. Y'all, I was balling. Oh man. I was young. I was making, how much was it? It was like 20 something dollars an hour. Oh man, that was what, 2002. So I'm making 40 G's a year. That's when they didn't charge you for healthcare. You paid like you paid healthcare was basically for free. I was part of the union. Oh, I had pocket money in my pocket every day. It was fly. Got my own crib. I was living the life. I was in South Florida, so y'all already know what it looked like. And then I got a phone call from my girl. Uh, I'm pregnant. Uh-oh. Oh, oh, you pregnant? You sure? Yeah, we sure. Okay. All right. What we gonna do? Well, back then I wasn't. I didn't try to do. I was very much in love with her, so I didn't try to do the talk. I was just like, all right, well, we pregnant and we doing what we do. So moved her in. We had to, because I now have a second person who doesn't have a job, and I have a baby coming. My income suddenly don't look like it's gonna be enough, even though it was balling. $42,000 a year for a single dude right out of college in early 2000s was pretty much balling. You putting me in a bad situation in South Florida like that. But the surprise came. So moved all in. After about 6 months, realizing that what I was making wasn't cutting it. And when I say wasn't cutting it, there were times where I didn't have enough gas money to get to work. So I had to go wash cars on the weekend to get the gas money to get to work. It was either diaper and formula money or gas money. So I was washing cars. Then I got a set, and I was like, all right, I got to get a second job. I got a part-time job, and I was doing the full-time and the part-time. You think I was making a lot of money, but between the expense of the crib where we was living at and the baby's now here and all the expenses and all of that stuff associated with it, and we weren't married, so it's under my insurance, but at the time it didn't cover everything for the baby and all of that good stuff. And she wasn't under my insurance, so when she had the baby, we had to pay those costs for her being in the hospital and giving birth. It's okay. I got two jobs now. I got a full time job. I work 8 hours. I got a part time job. I work 4 to 6 hours, depending on what shifts I can pick up. There's days, 3, 4 days where I'm going with no sleep, no nothing. Bills is kicking. We lived in a real nice place. We got kicked out of that real nice place because we couldn't afford it. This is how you had to do your first move. Garbage bags with your clothes in it. We had to move baby stuff, our clothes, garbage bags in the back of the whip, and we went to go live in a less expensive place, which of course meant we was in the hood in South Florida. So we was living in the hood for a while down in Miami. It worked out for a little while. We did our thing. We tread water. She got a job. I got a job. My son grew up. Blah 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 blah. But I think that first call that I'm pregnant was my designation into manhood, because everything else was just fun before that. I mean, my car was paid off. I was wilding. I was going out every weekend. It was a lovely life, man. And these damn kids deterred it. And garbage bags and washing cars is how we got by.
Yeah, I want before I get into the red pill sleeper cell, y'all. I want to say, y'all notice how he was balling until he got one phone call. One phone call, he
It
went
was
from
over.
balling to poor.
Listen, you don't understand, man. I had furniture in my apartment. It was just me. Why would I have furniture in my apartment? Right? I mean, furniture with nice stuff too. We went to a Cuban spot. My boy put me onto a Cuban spot and got some Art Deco furniture because we was trying to live the life. Who's making 40 grand a year, man? That's like making 80 grand a year now when you're single. So I mean, oh man, Roger, it was lovely.
I get you, brother. I get you. But I got to say respect. You know what I'm saying? When manhood come calling, no matter what it is, everybody then responded to it a good and proper way. So, salute to everybody who's come to share their story. Real talk. We got red pill sleeper cell. So I'm gonna go ahead and give him the mic. You got it, my brother.
I'm here for Bible study.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Because I was wondering how much longer we was gonna go. Because y'all,
His
we are
story ain't for
20
the
minutes
public,
past.
Roger.
Yeah, we 20 minutes past. But
His story is not for the
Still
public,
say he ain't
Roger.
like truth tellers. Just coming here doing what he want to do when he want to do it.
Listen,
No.
man, I had to put my elbows down on the armchair, baby. Come on, man.
shout out to the great black reset who say immediate transition into poverty, y'all. So let me say this then, because we gonna close it out and get to Bible study since Bible study got brought up. Okay, this is what I'm gonna say, y'all. Being a man is different in a lot of different ways. Okay, now truth teller, the only person who included anything attached to a woman with manhood. Okay, I'm not saying he's wrong. He said that's his moment where he had to face manhood. So I do get it. I definitely get it. Notice, truth teller was the only person that transitioned to immediate poverty because his manhood was attached to a woman. So
there you go. Bad decision, players. Learn from my mistakes.
okay, so I'm gonna say this, y'all. Manhood is not about being attached to a woman. I mean, he obviously was a man because when he got the call, he did what a man had to do. Well, hey, I guess y'all live with me now. You know what I'm saying? You might as well move on over. You're pregnant. You might as well come on. We might as well get this going. So it is what it is. That's a person who, he's faced with a manhood decision. He makes a decision to make it as best he can. So I'm gonna say salute to you for that. Salute to you for that. But he was already in position to handle his business when he got the phone call. Keep that in mind. He was already in position to handle his business when he got the phone call. And shout out to all the brothers who wasn't quote unquote technically in position, but because there's many a man who got that same phone call and they immediately had to transition into things so they can be ready before that child was born. So it all counts at the end of the day. But I want black men to stop having the idea that a woman can make you a man, because she cannot. A woman will show she will expose whether you are a man or not. She can't make you one. She will expose it though. Because if you're not a man and you got a woman pregnant, the fact that you're not a man is about to come out to everybody. Real talk. And people ain't gonna be quiet about it. When they say deadbeat dad, they say that with the loud voice. Everybody say that with the outside voice when they call you a deadbeat dad. Okay. And that's saying you ain't came into manhood. That's what it is, y'all. Real talk. Okay. That's saying you ain't came into manhood, and people are very loud about you not coming into your manhood. So a man is not about a woman. You got to be ready to handle stuff on your own when the time comes, y'all. So I'm gonna get ready to close this out. You know what? Let me do this just in case. We're gonna do we'll do a final statement on this. We'll do a final statement on it. FOG, we'll start with you. Any final statement before we close out? FOG, are you there? Maybe something that got his attention. Oh, there you go. He unmuted. Any final statement?
let me go in a little bit. Let somebody else go.
So no final statement, or you trying to come back, have us come back
No,
to you?
yeah, come back to me. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. No placeholder. Any final statements before we wrap this up?
No, Roger, but thanks for having me though.
Hey man, I appreciate you being here. That's real talk. Yeah, I want to say I appreciate all y'all, especially for today. Cause this is one of them shows I know sometimes it can be hard to get on certain kind of shows and say certain kind of things. Okay. Black Uru, any final statements for you, my good man?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great message to send and talk about, manliness lessons. I think we should have more talks like this, and including, how to advance and how to, what was sort of the epiphany stages of your life. I think Truth Teller sort of touched on sort of a force epiphany stage, but just sort of the things that get you along from A to B to C to D. So great subject as always, Roger. Thanks for having me.
All right. Tunnel Runner, we doing it in a circle. We coming to you, Tunnel Runner. Any last statements?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell the brothers. Most of you brothers are successful. You're not being appreciated for who you are. Protect yourself at all times, and just look at the facts and the stats. Most of y'all are doing what you're supposed to do, and just keep striving for success.
The Great Black Reset. Any last words for today?
Well, you must be in the bathroom.
He
Taking care
unmuted.
of business.
He unmuted. I don't hear him.
Nah.
Hey, Rod, I'm back. If you allow me to go, I don't really have much to say. Just a thank you for having me and the men on the panel. This is a great panel. More and more of these conversations need to be talked about, and yeah. So thank you.
Hey, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Shout out to the Great Black Reset. We don't know what you said, brother, but you said in the chat, I won't dare go after Uru. So I guess you didn't say a whole lot. Truth Teller. Now, matter of fact, let me get Red Pill Sleeper Cell in first. I just want you to be last. That's all. You ain't did nothing wrong. You ain't did nothing wrong.
Just be last.
Red Pill Sleeper Cell. Any last words you want to make before we go?
Be good to others, but first and foremost, be good to yourself. And I love my PlayStation.
Well, I'm an Xbox guy, but okay, cool. I'm gonna let that slide.
You're gonna be out here fighting over the game system.
Well, I mean, there is a content creator on YouTube called Ace Van. I watch a lot of his stuff. He's hilarious, and then he was doing something where he said somebody said something about an Xbox. He was like, be a real man and get rid of an Xbox and get you a PlayStation.
Be a real man.
I took offense to that. You know what I'm saying? Now I can tell by his content. I don't know if he watches me, but I know he watches some of us. I can tell that just even by his content. But he's an hilarious guy. I definitely promote him, y'all. Ace Vane. He's hilarious. Real talk. But go ahead, Truth Teller.
I don't. It's important to understand that you don't need your manhood. It's literally vital for your happiness and your existence in reality, right? You can't exist without it. I don't mean exist as a man. I mean just exist. If you don't have your manhood, you're going to need to find it. Because if you don't find it, you're not going to exist. So make sure you understand what's important and move accordingly.
Hey, well said, brother. Well said. Now I'm gonna say, y'all, I ain't much of a gambling man, but I am considering I may go put some money on the Bears to win the Super Bowl right now. Okay, not today, right now, but before Sunday get here, I might put some money on the Bears to win the Super Bowl. We having a miracle season, y'all. Shout out to the McCaskey family. Sorry for your loss, but Virginia has died. Okay.
She lived long enough. You live long enough.
I'm saying maybe somebody. I said earlier, maybe somebody cursed her that she will never see the Bears win another Super Bowl. But since she gone now, you know, we might be having our miracle season, y'all. You ain't gonna hear me mention the Bears a whole lot, because trust me, they're a tough group to be a fan of, but I love and respect them, okay? A tough group to be a fan of, but I think they may just be having a miracle year. So shout out to the Bears family out there, okay? Shout out to the Bears family. Y'all, or if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. And if you we do this 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, y'all. 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. We have the best show on social media available right here. You might as well come take part of it. If you can't take part of it live, take part in the replay experience. Join the replay gang. Get it later. It'll still be here. Real talk, y'all. Have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the Habitual Line Steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.